Good evening, A2D family, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of On the Road to Victory Live. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, but I am joined by tonight my co-host. That's right, if you missed it last week, I have a co-host now. Mr. Jake Friel is in the house. Thanks for joining
Moving
us,
up in
man,
the
and you're
world.
going to
Love
be joining us. Hey, man, I love you moving into a slot, something we talked about, and it's just the right move to make. I love having you on, and I just love what you bring to the table. And we'll have more guests and everything like that. But tonight, it's going to be you and I. So we're going to, of course, answer all the questions and comments and bring everything we can to you guys. But we have a few things we're going to talk about. But before we get to that, tonight's show is brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC. That's Dr. Paul Vidal. He's our doc. Make him yours. You can find them at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. As in the Cherry Hill, Burlington, and Princeton locations. You can also check out all of our merchandise at phillydrinkers.com. You can also check them out. It's Philly Drinkers LLC. Find them on Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. And you can also check out our gutter guys at Ambuck Services. That's AMBUCK services.com. You can find them at. They are the gutter and deck experts of South Jersey. Give them a call at 856-879-5530. That's Ambuck Services. All right, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in this Friday night. It's 9 o'clock. Beautiful day. Of course, hot as hell, but got my fan set. I'm ready to go. Jake, you ready to go, man?
Absolutely.
Football's in the air, man. We're finally getting, some people get a little excited about the pictures and everything. Hey, I'm excited just to see them at practice. We're finally getting some stuff brewing in the air. So Monday, we know that these guys are putting on the pads and, they're going to be fighting a little harder because, hey, we got no preseason, got nothing to go by other than this little short amount of time here. We got about 30 days and they're going to have less, So I'm excited, but what's your thoughts? Are you pumped up? I mean, you got to be pumped up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm excited. It's just good to have football back. I literally right at 7:30, me and my buddies did our yearly fantasy draft, so that was fun. Just to get that feeling of football coming back. Obviously, it's not going to be normal to what we're used to, but at least it's some sort of normalcy, so it helps.
Oh, dude, you said it right there. It's going to be a little different. Already, I'm getting the messages, the emails, all the, fantasy football is back. I'm like, I know it is, you son of a, but you're watching out because now you got people with the COVID. You didn't know if people were opting out. People are trying to do the fantasy, months in advance. You're like, all right, buddy, calm it down. We're not even down under 80. Let's simmer down here. But I've got people already on me, and I can't wait. I'm excited. I've got a couple leagues already beginning, so I'm right there with you. I am pumped up, but it's going to be different because imagine, you're balling out with a player, and then all of a sudden, he's contracted corona. He's out for the next few weeks. You're like, son of a. So he's got to go through the protocol. Like, this is just ridiculous. So you're going to have to look out for how they have, they stash people on this extra practice squad we talk about. Maybe we're going to have to be doing some extra stashing here with certain players. Yep. I'm not looking forward to this, man. I really. No. So one of the positions, though, that was affected. Andy, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, man. I really appreciate that. One of the things, though, that did happen that affected us, we had one player that opted out, and that was Marquise Goodwin. So the poll question tonight, a guy that I thought was going to make the roster, not necessarily sure. I think he makes it because I think to begin the year, he starts as a slot receiver. So I thought, why not make it the poll question? So the question was, do you think to start week one, he is that guy to start in the slot? And if not, who is your guy that should be starting in the slot?
Yeah, no, it's a real interesting question because obviously you have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, which obviously people have their opinions about. But again, it's a second-year rookie hiccups. Didn't really have much to show on film last year, so it's going to be interesting to see there. But Greg Ward was your guy down the stretch last year. So at this point, obviously you have Jalen Reagor, who's going to be more of the outside guy. But one guy you had to lean your hat on last year was Greg Ward, at least towards those last four games. So right now, I think at this point, it's his job to lose. I think he absolutely, at least right now, gets the starting job in the slot. So unless someone steps up, and obviously we don't have preseason, so whatever they see at camp or anything like that, you can only take so much away from that. So yeah, I'm going to have to agree with the poll. Greg Ward's going to start in the slot this season.
And, you had mentioned JJ Arcega-Whiteside, and I think, one of the things to him, a lot of people were calling for his head last year. And, rightfully so if you're just looking at certain things. But if you really break it down, you put things into context, last year I tried to do that. And it was Carson Walsh and it was Mike Groh, the things they were doing with the receivers and the offense as a whole. It was really, you saw them as the cancer. And, those are the guys that were gotten rid of. And you see guys like Aaron Moorhead brought in. You see Jason Avant was brought in. And, one of the things that was cool about Avant, it's like, oh, we have like these speedy guys. What's the correlation there? It's like, well, he's here to teach them how to run routes and catch the ball, whereas they already have the talent you can't teach. So I like those moves. I think that's something that's going to benefit these guys. And you talk about Goodwin being out now. So I think that helps Hightower and Watkins. I think, as you said, Ward was already coming into this, as your slot. I think Arcega-Whiteside's here to be Alshon Jeffrey's replacement. So they're holding him as the X, and they want him to be that guy. So we're hoping for that. Andy, ridiculous.
Love you, Andy.
What's going on, Yusef? Thanks for tuning in, man. Just talking about the receivers. John. Andre Diller's looking forward to whatever you bring his way. I don't care, man. I'm pumped about it. All these matchups, but I understand there's going to be some tough ones. We've broke it down on these videos, but right now we're talking about Greg, and I think that he comes in. He's the guy, like you said, down the stretch. He helped us. He had his first game starting. He had 9 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. So he did really good, and that was his only touchdown. But he made big catches. He had 18 first downs, I believe it was, and that's big. He did really well, and he was reliable. And we all talked about him before. He finally got his chance, and it's like, he's a guy that was a quarterback. He can see the field differently, and I really thought that he deserved a chance over Matt Collins. He didn't get it, and then he finally did, and now I think, we see, he did really well. So with other receivers, don't you think he actually will get better now that, they don't just, he's the focal point as the only receiver, and, what's going on? But don't you think that he'll actually improve his game?
I mean, you would hope so. I mean, the old saying is iron sharpens iron, right? So it's going to be one of those things to where obviously you have the competition there. And
Nickel Roby-Coleman.
Yep, that absolutely helps. So again, it's one of those things where it theoretically, it will help, but again, it's one of those things to where I have to see it with my own eyes. It has to pass the eye test. I have to see how they do in the first couple of weeks of the season, and then I'll kind of form my judgment on that.
Yep. And that's one of the things, as we've had you on last couple of weeks, that's something we've talked about. It's, well, actually, we only had you on last week. You had a nice little vacation there. But this is something, we've discussed. And I'm excited about this team. And I think they've made the moves they needed to make in certain positions. But I think they were comfortable with Greg Ward. And I think a lot of people see it as, like, oh, you had to have Rieger's the guy that was brought in here. Look, he's not the slot guy. That's not a guy I see playing that. He's going to be the guy that replaces Deshaun Jackson, play the same. They'll be on the field at the same time as even. You don't have to just line them up like, well, this is your X, their slot, and this is your. No, how we're going to get creative, and we've talked about that. And it's like that's why you brought in Rich Scandrell. You brought in, and he's going to help a lot with the run too. But it's like, these are all great moves, I thought, and that's why each week we broke down each one of them. And I think now this is where you get to the point where it's like, okay, Goodwin's out of the way, and he wasn't really a slot guy anyway, but. As you said, iron sharpens iron. He plays against Nickel Roby-Coleman against practice. Crevan LeBlanc. He's getting better. He's working with Wentz. He has better receivers around him. So we hope, but it's all with a grain of salt. So, and without a preseason, without any kind of training camp until Monday when they finally have a chance, like we would have already had our preseason game, like that's where we would have been sitting there and been like, oh, no, I like what I saw here. I didn't like this, we don't have that. So it's like, so everything you guys have to understand, and you guys that tune in, we always say, take it all with a grain of salt, baby, because, hey, and me and Jake were getting pumped up for the show. We're like, because we're finally going to have stuff to talk about with that isn't just, well, I watched his college tape, and last year, like, we know. It's a whole new ball game, baby, a whole new year. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are all excited. And Monday, dude, by this time, next Friday, we'll actually be having some stuff to talk about, the competitions, so that's something we're going to break down in this show, something I can't wait, some of these competitions. And we got one of those things answered, defensive end. We're obviously hoping for someone else, and we know where he went, so we'll discuss that. And I'm sure some of these lovely fans in here will remind us of that happening, because I'm pretty sure we've said that his name 1,000 times. So that's all fine and dandy. I saw in the comments, for the most part, most people agree. We were talking before the show about how I made a post about it. I try anytime that they put a press conference on there, I'm going to, try to get out there and report it. And I made the post about Greg Ward, and it was one of the most popular posts. I posted it in a while, and I'm like, all it said was Greg Ward was in the mix for starting wide receiver. I didn't know that many people were excited about it. And that's awesome, man. So I thought it'd be a good topic. And, anybody that wants to comment on that, we'll happily take your opinions on that. I just think that, as we brushed up on, he's the guy that's already proven it. And what the plan was, was to have Alshon and Deshaun, and we saw what they could do, dude, together. And I think the world's about to be very surprised when they see. And, why don't we just talk about this? Because, we talk about a healthy Deshaun Jackson, what he's capable of. Well, if you guys were paying attention on social media today, you saw that, Chad Ochocinco received some video from Deshaun Jackson, and he's flying. Now, we were laughing because that people are going to take that out of context, and they're going to lose their mind. Oh, Darius Slay, he's Byron Matt. So that's hilarious. Why don't you go ahead and break down? We talked about, what those kind of drills really mean, but why don't you go ahead and explain to the people why they don't need to lose their minds about that.
Yeah, because again, and we talked about before the show, like you said, Jimmy, it's one of those things where it's more of and it's an advantage for the wide receiver. The quarterback doesn't have any pressure, can sit back there all day, mind his business. You don't have a safety over top. It's just a quick, what do you call it? All that Deshaun did was a quick 2-step, planted, and then just went. And obviously he made Darius Slay look silly, but again, Deshaun Jackson's I think he is a 10-year veteran. So it's one of those things to where
it's going to be 13th season, bro.
13th season. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy how fast that went. But it's just one of those things to where, like, people are just like, oh, he's done. Darius Slay isn't what he used to be. I'm like, it's practice. Who cares? If one thing I was really impressed with, Jimmy, too, is if you go back in the film, there's another clip. I don't know if it's from the Chad Ochocinco thing, but it's Quez Watkins against Darius Slay, or against Russell Douglas, excuse me. Just burned him.
I saw somebody say they were excited about it, but I didn't get to see the video. Yeah, right before I got on, I saw that.
Yeah, so
nice. I'll check that out.
But again, it's practice, so you can't expect him to do it every play. So I'm not gonna overhype myself about it. So.
Yep. And like you said, don't get overhyped. And like we say at this show, and this is how you watch tape. This is how you watch games. This is how everything you see, you have to break it down and understand it. You have to see, like, okay, like he just said, there's no safety here. Like, there's literally no pressure, nothing going on there. So it's nice to see Deshaun Jackson take that away from it. It's nice to see him healthy. Let's be excited for, and if you saw, there's actually a second video that Ochocinco then posted. I'm not sure when he posted it, but I actually saw it a couple hours later. Okay. But it's Deshaun doing a hitch route, and damn, he looks like he's about to just burn him deep, and he just and comes back, and it's like, oh, like that excites me. That's a play where Darius was like, hey man, that's all right. Like I'm just getting my feet, and it's like, dude, you don't have to make excuses. You don't have to. We understand it, and when there is going to be the whole defense out there, it's a whole new ball game. So it's just practice, exactly. Practice. And the name of Jim Mora here, practice. I just, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, guys. But I'm excited for Deshaun. So just think about that. Let's try to be positive for once and be excited. Think about finally taking off the top. This isn't Shelton Gibson. This is Jalen Reagor coming in. This is Deshaun Jackson healthy. We already saw what he did. So imagine what a guy that, Shelton Gibson, he wasn't supposed to be our first round pick. He was obviously a fourth, but he was still supposed to be a speedster. And, Torrey, we know what we got from him, a Super Bowl, but Mike Wallace got hurt. That didn't pan out, So, well, you draft a guy. And I know a lot of people feel differently about whatever. And it's like, hey, who cares? This guy is our guy. You guys know I'm hyped about him. I love him. So I think you are too. But it's like, look, this kid's going to come out and he's going to get a lot more snaps. I looked at the positive of Marquise Goodwin opting out. I was like, you know what? He's just out of the way now. Yep. This gives more chance for Quez Watkins and John Hightower at the back, but this means more snaps for Jalen Reagor. And that's what you remember. It was me, you, Tom, and somebody else, and Tom was like, he's got to be out there, and totally, he's got to be out there. He's your first damn round pick, and you picked him over people like Justin Jefferson, Patrick Queen, and people were calling for Howie Roseman's head. So it's like, yes, and he will. And by the end of the year, Deshaun, unfortunately things happen with him, and I'm not going to put that bad juju on him, but we all understand that Jalen Reagor is going to be the starter. So, when we say that Greg Ward's a starter, Deshaun Jackson's starter, Alshon, this is because there has been this coronavirus, guys, and these young guys have not had the time. So to throw them in the fire like that, I think we learned last year, right? Didn't we just talk about J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? The kid was getting carried to the bathroom. His mom's holding effing umbrellas up for him. Are you shitting me? Dude, I don't want to see it again because I can't. You're a Philadelphia Eagle now, man. You got to grow a pair, and hey, you got to show up, dude. So I think with Aaron Moorhead here, dude, Jason Avant, and I think Avant's going to really teach them, playing here. I think that's huge, dude. So, what did you think about that, Jason Avant? That was something I wanted to talk about last week, and we didn't actually get to it.
Yeah, see, and obviously, I'm always going to have a soft spot for Jason Avant. He was a great player. Like, obviously, he didn't put up fantastic numbers or anything like that. But one thing one thing that everyone knew him for, he could catch the ball, and that's all that matters. At least right now, with how poorly our receivers have been the past.
I'll take him right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think honestly, more than anything, Jimmy, obviously it helps all the other wide receivers, but I think it really helps Greg Ward because I can kind of see him. I don't know if he's going to be necessarily Jason Avant like 2.0, but as long as he can be like a little bit of it, because it's similar with Greg Ward because he catches everything that's thrown to him. He might have had a handful of drops here and there, but again, that's football. So
70% catch rate. That's great in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. So again, I think it's more important for anyone. I think it's more important for Greg Ward than anybody.
That's a great point. Great point. And obviously, we know it's big for the young guys. That's just a given, guys. But what he's saying is, for a player that is supposed to come in and be a starter, this is a game changer. This is where you're going to find out, is this guy meant to be an NFL starting slot receiver? Because not only does he have competition, but he's going to have great coaching. So all eyes are going to be on him. And, we had a video specifically just to talk about the coaching changes. And, a lot of people, they don't really put stock into anything else other than this player, this, and it's like playing a game of Madden or something. And it's like, look, dude, this kind of stuff is important. And I understand, this guy needs to be offensive coordinator, this, that. And then when Doug was like, you know what? I'm not taking one. People were like, what the? It's like, dude, are you shitting me? This is Doug Pederson's offense. He wasn't fooling anybody any other time. So it's his offense. And then you look at Rich Scangarello, Marty Morningweg. They've been a part of some good, cultures and organizations. I know we have our thoughts on Marty, and there's some things, but there's a group of guys. It's a collective, Right. So what were you actually were not on that show. What were your thoughts on the coaching changes we made, and what were some of the favorite guys? I know I mentioned some offense, but you can mention defense. I love Marquand Manuel. I think that's huge. But I mean, who are some of the guys that you'd like that you saw?
Yeah, obviously Marquand Manuel. That's one of my favorites. But I think one of the ones that's really underrated, Jimmy, is Aaron Moorhead. And people aren't really high on him, and I understand that. But I just think, I don't know why necessarily, but I think it's more just a gut feeling that I really think that he might be the guy to really help these wide receivers out. And just how he talks about these wide receivers and the knowledge that he has about the position and how long he's been in the league coaching and playing, I think it just helps tremendously, and just how much he can teach these players. But I'm really going to see, and we're all going to see, I should say, just how good of a coach he is just by Jalen Reagor's development, and especially JJ's development. So
great point. And that's it. I think you're going to see an immediate impact, and I'll get to you in a second here, Yusef, but you're going to see an immediate impact from Jalen Reagor, and you're going to see Arcega-Whiteside, I believe, turn into that receiver that we drafted him to be. I mean, he was great at Stanford, and I think the coaching and where he was played, honestly, he was thrown in the fire. I think that with the right coaching here and using him correctly is going to be huge. I think the kid's going to be just fine. And just like when we talked about Aguilar's breakout season, and I know he sucked at the end there, but it's like they finally had other receivers around him and they used him right. So it's like, if we can get that here, man, going to be some big things, and I love it. Great call. Aaron Moorhead, dude. I can't speak enough. And anytime that I talk about that Moorhead edition, that I have to back it up with, I love Matthew Harper, the guy that's been actually part of the Eagles organization since 2012, I believe. And he's been moving up the ranks and, doing his due diligence. And now he's an assistant wide receiver head coach or wide receiver coach. So he's right behind, him. And now he's learning from Avant too. I think that's going to be great for his development. And I think it's going to be a great core of guys just helping these receivers. So going to be amazing. This comment here from Youssef, he threw a little curveball here. He's looking at the coin from a different side. I can't agree with you here, Youssef. He said he thinks that the other teams in the division have an advantage. That was actually the topic last week, who we thought, had improved the most. And one of the things, I believe it was actually you, Jake, that brought it up, and it was the greatest point brought up that night was, the entire division, except for us, has a whole new coaching staff, we have the advantage. I don't see it as, sure, they have, they can watch some tape and they think they know us. But like we just said, first off, we added new coaches. We're adding all kinds of things that I think are going to help the run game and open up some different passing game ideas, get more creative. But, and when you add guys like Rieger, Hightower, you can get more creative. Even if Killen surprises us and pans out by midway through the year or something, maybe that guy could be part of this offense one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like this could be very exciting. So I'm not saying that, you're not right in that sense, Youssef, because it's a great point, man. It's great to look at, things from that other side. You're right. They do have that advantage where, hey, we know what they are. They think they know, and what you have in Carson Wentz and Miles Sanders, but you don't know right now what the hell this team's going to look like with real wide receivers. Now, I mean, that's what I'm most excited about because we did that what we've done the past couple of years with straight garbage and people getting hurt. And not to call those guys garbage because they made it to the NFL. I'm not saying that, but it's like in the sense of if you're playing Madden, these guys are ranked in the 60s, and you got, what I mean? So it's like you're playing with guys that aren't even on Madden. So the point is that I think, a lot of people are missing the fact that if Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson can at least just stay healthy for a few weeks, allow these young guys to learn from the likes of Aaron Moorhead and, really, the other corners we spoke of, and then Marquand Manuel helping those corners. I think those were key changes on both sides of the ball, and obviously both sides of the ball where we got our ass kicked last year. So that was a little rough to watch at times, and it's not Darby and Mills anymore, so it's like, it's Slay and whoever wins between Maddox, Jones, and maybe Douglas is in that, but it's going to be tough to see, but Rieger outside. Yeah. I see Spike says here now Rieger, that's an intriguing statement you make there because as we say, when I started the way I see it is 6 receivers, okay, making this team. And honestly, let's just say, now I did hear good news that maybe Alshon's ready for the beginning of the season, but what we've been going with is if he starts on the PUP list, because how the Eagles are, you got to take everything they say with a damn grain of salt. So sure, I'm sure he's healthy. Deshaun Jackson was coming back next week and then next week and then next week and never. Yeah. So, well, he did actually come back. I was there at the game and then he went away right away. Yeah. So, yeah, that was great. I actually, I don't, whatever. But Alshon, if he starts on the PUP list, I see us keeping 6. And, when he comes back, he's the starting X receiver. He's that number 1 guy. And then hopefully Arcega-Whiteside's that backup that can fill that role when he's not. And if he's hurt, he's there. And then you hope Hightower could play that. Now, Hightower's a little skinnier and he's going to have to work to be that X. But I could see him being used in a Z and maybe in the slot for him and Watkins. You never know what you could do with a guy. I mean, Watkins being 6 foot. Hightower being 6'2". I mean, they got size and speed. So if they can catch across the middle and stuff, that's pretty necessary to be a slot guy. So we'll see what they can do. But, yeah, if you see Alshon down, I think you're going to see a mix of Arcega-Whiteside. But he's going to have to be your X. I'm going to be honest with you. Rieger's not your X if Alshon is out. And Deshaun Jackson's not your X. So, I mean, what do you see playing out if Alshon Jeffrey goes down? Do you see it being Arcega? I mean, we have to pray to God he turns in that guy because if not, who the hell's your X receiver?
Well, I mean, at that point, right, if God forbid he goes down, and I've talked about it multiple weeks on this show and when I was on the weekly roundup, is that God forbid, Jimmy, and it's going to question. It's really going to question the depth of these wide receivers. So, and that's my concern with this team. God forbid, Deshaun Jackson goes down, and history shows that more often.
I don't know if it froze for anybody else, but
But
that is a great face that you just got froze on.
did I?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need Ralph to get a what do you call it of it then. But
Yeah, take it back.
yeah, like I was saying, it's really gonna question the depth more than anything, obviously. And getting to your JJ point, I think it's what better way to learn than throw him out there. You know what I mean? So
Where he belongs. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So I really think it's going to be a true test more than anything, Jimmy. And I just really hope more than anything, I hope to God that the injury gods don't plague us for a third straight or fourth straight year, technically.
Oh, for real.
But I just hope Carson Wentz just has his wide receivers more than anything.
Yep.
So people can shut up and see what he actually does with real wide receivers or wide receivers that can actually contribute. So that's really what I want more than anything. But yeah, and like I said, with the depth, it's just if someone gets hurt or if our two main guys get hurt, it's really going to put Rieger, Arcega-Whiteside, and a lot of our rookies. It's I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just hoping. I mean, that'd be great if he's ready for September. So we'll hope that they're telling us the truth for once in our lives. And he actually is ready. So he was actually, we talked about this like a month ago. He was running and stuff. So we'll see. I love what Spike says here, though. You know, it's not just about those guys. You know, it's actually look at what else. And we've talked about this. You know, this is going to open up the entire offense. So we have the best tight end duo. Ertz and Goddard are going to go off. And then you look at, you know, Miles Sanders. We all think that he's going to have a pretty damn good sophomore season. So looking forward to that, hoping he stays healthy. We obviously know that's one of our biggest concerns too. So hopefully if he's healthy, you know, he's carrying most of the load. And then, you know, Boston Scott's coming in to spell him here and there, taking the kick returns, punt returns, getting a little wow here and there. We love it, you know, little Clement from 17 action, you know, and if Clement's actually healthy, maybe he's still here. And then we talk about the competition. So this is going to be one of the things, you know, I think I'll get to you in a second here, Spike. Actually, I'll get to you right now. You know what? I was just mentioning this kind of Alshon. If he doesn't return right now, I see Rieger behind Deshaun Jackson. You know, he's the Z receiver. He's the guy that's lining up 3 yards off the line of scrimmage rather than the X who's on the line of scrimmage. Because you don't want that little guy trying to take on any corners or take on any blocks or trying to block anyone. He's not there yet. You need him being behind the line of scrimmage, being used in motion, all that good stuff. And maybe he gets his end arounds, all that. Get him the ball. So I see him being used in the return game. I see him getting his playing time. And I think, you know, beginning of the video, we talked about Marquise Goodwin, the only player that opted out. That's huge for him. I think he gets his playing time right there. I think with him being gone, that opens the door for him, what he was already going to have. And then, like Jake said, we don't want to put that on him. But Deshaun Jackson usually ends up getting hurt. So that's where he's going to get his playing time. I think the guy's going to have his chance. And when he does, everyone's going to be like, holy shit. I think, you know, and it doesn't matter. Like, oh, he's a starter. Oh, Deshaun Jackson's a starter. That doesn't mean, you know, well, Jalen Rieger can't play today. I guess he's just not getting any snaps. It's like, no, he's going to be out there. And maybe we're going to test the waters a little. We'll see how he does here and there. But I feel that he's going to be one of those kind of kids that comes out and you're going to be like, oh, my God, with him and Deshaun Jackson on the field at the same time. Because teams are going to be like, what do you do? I mean, do you let Ertz and Goddard eat you alive across the middle? Or do you let these speedsters take you deep? Do you let Jeffrey go up? I mean, or you're going to run the ball down their throat. So, and then you got Carson Wentz that can still do his magic. So you talk about it. And I think the other thing that Spike had mentioned, you know, before that was 45 touchdowns. He said, Carson Wentz, hey, man, why the hell not? That's wild. But it's an ever-changing league. And, you know, we like to pass. But I did say something about it would be pretty awesome, but I think he could hit 40. So you're going wild hitting 45. That's not too far off from 40. So man can dream. You know, when you go back to 17, what the hell was he at? Like 33, 34 before he got hurt, right? Like it was something.
30. He
broke the Eagles record.
I
think 34. Yeah. So, I mean, think about that. That's only, he had 3 more games to go at the end of that game. You know, so he could have threw 6 more touchdowns. That'd be wild, you know? So, and I think he has a better team this year, dude, to be honest with you, if they're healthy.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
But the thing that I think we're all, and we've talked about, I'm not saying that we're missing out on it. I think we've just kind of been avoiding it because we wanted to talk about something else. But we all know, okay, we get it. We lost our all-pro right guard before the damn season even began. So the biggest concern really is, do we protect all this fine china? How is Jason Peters going to do at right guard? Yo, Pete, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in, man. Yo, Tom, thanks for tuning in, man. Yes, Ralph is producing today. We're lucky guys. Me and Jake get to sit back, take in all the action.
Because Ralph is working so hard.
He is. And we didn't mean to. What's going on, Tommy? Thanks for tuning in, Mr. No Notes himself. And tonight we just thought we'd give you the pleasure of seeing the new hosts of On the Road to Victory. And we will be back and bringing you more guests and doing our thing. But just expect double the awesome every Friday from now on. So, but I will say this, just keep your eyes out. The next week, I'm not sure if Chrome let you know, but he just reached out to me before the show. And I guess SummerSlam is going on.
Right. Yeah.
He wanted to do some kind of event kind of thing. I was like, definitely, dude. So we could go earlier in the day. I'm going to try to move things around. Maybe if we have to do it Thursday. So keep your eyes peeled, guys. And Jake, I'll let you know as soon as he figures that out tonight. Okay. But yeah, guys, if you're not following like Chrome and in this very ring and all that great stuff, dude, if you're a wrestling fan, you need to be, right? I mean, my kids, he's all about it. He's been loving Chrome, so I try to tune in, let him know what's up. But yeah, so Friday, stay tuned, guys. But this is going to be, you're going to have to deal with us, guys. You're just going to have to deal with me and Jake, so it is what it is. But, Tom is a busy man, and he's helping them kids out there, whooping some ass in baseball. So you love to see it, and we'll have him guest in whenever he can. And whenever Ralphie wants to grace us with his presence, we'll keep it real with you. But tonight you got to deal with us. I'm sorry, you just have to. But Yusef asks, how do we feel about Dillard and Peters? And, and that was something, I was just trying to brush on. I think that, something that we had talked about, before Peters came, and it's a curveball. You and I got to talk to Trey Thomas, dude. And even he did not see Peters come back as a right guard. We all agreed that he should come back and provide depth for left tackle, just in case Dillard doesn't pan out or he gets hurt. But he could learn right guard in the instance that maybe Matt Pryor is failing. Mm-hmm. Well, they maybe that was how they got him to come back. Look, we're just going to throw you in and have you at right guard. It's because it's like, oh, okay, I guess. I mean, we all know he started as a tight end and then right tackle, and then he went to left tackle, and then he got traded to us, and he's been a freaking Hall of Famer. So I'm pretty excited about that. But how do you think he's going to do at right guard? And he also asked how you felt about left tackle Andre Dillard. So how are you feeling about this offensive line?
I mean, with me, I'm fine with it, at least right now anyway. We'll see how it goes week one. What's up, Greg? But it's really going to be one of those things again. It's going to be me for the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to form an opinion on anything, at least until probably week 5 or week 6, because, again, no one has a training camp. It's going to be vanilla football for at least the first week or two, because no one's going to have a rhythm. You're going to see errant throws, a lot of picks, stuff like that, a lot of sloppy football. Yeah. So it's just one of those things, getting back to the offensive line. I mean, Peters, I'm not really worried about because he has Lane to his right and Kelsey to his left, so he has help if he really needs it. But again, if as crazy as it sounds, Jimmy, if it pans out, I mean, it just adds to the legacy and just the legendary story of Jason Peters.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? And
look at it, who's doubted him before, right?
Yeah. Went from a tight end to a Hall of Fame left tackle. So
unreal.
Tells you all you need to know. And Andre Dillard, me personally, I'm with Ralph. I think he's going to be fine. He might have a couple hiccups here and there, but again, it's week 1. It's early on. I'm not going to crucify the guy. Now, again, if he lets up like 3 sacks and he just looks awful, then we're having a different conversation.
Yeah. Friday's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. So
I'm with you. And, I'm very confident. And right when I started on the show, I think me and Ralph hit it off because the fact that I'm a big Andre Dillard fan, that was who I had 2 years ago, the Eagles draft, and I was high on him, and I'm very happy to have him. And I know he had his struggles, but when you and I were able to talk to Trey Thomas, he explained, the kid got thrown in the fire. He never played right tackle before. People didn't see it. And then by the end of the year, when he actually was getting to play and when he was used as a swing tackle and things, he was doing really good. And I believe if he really worked on his run game and what we've been hearing, he's been getting stronger and doing. And honestly, you saw Carson Wentz, even guys like him are getting jacked. So that's the one thing they have been able to do. So if he's getting tough and but he needs to get mentally tough, dude. So you're hoping that the work he's had, and we have one of the best offensive line coaches, we've definitely ever had. Jeff Salton's the man. But I'm confident in Dillard, and I think that that's going to make it easier on this whole line because obviously that's your anchor. But you talked about things being easier for Jason Peters. If you look at you got Lane Johnson to your right, you got Kelsey to your left, so they're confident in him and they're going to help him, dude. And it's not like Brandon Brooks is going to disappear off the face of the earth, like. No. These guys are going to be there for him, and I think it's going to be huge. Now, I saw Greg had said that he disagreed to the poll. Tom agrees, and, we talked about this. We both agreed to the poll because it's like he's the guy that's earned it. And until someone else takes it from him, this is his right now. And, without a preseason training camp, I feel that's who it is. But, Greg, who are you thinking is going to be the starter there? Because we talked about it. I don't see Arcega-Whiteside really as a slot receiver. And, maybe Watkins and Hightower could be used there. But like we talked about earlier, that might take some time. So Rieger's not a slot guy. Deshaun Jackson's not a slot guy. You can use these guys. We talked about moving them around. But if you want to talk about the starter, you know what I mean? I think it's Greg Ward. So I'm intrigued to see who Greg thinks it could be. But Tom, as you can see, agrees to the poll there. So that seemed to be the consensus for most guys. And I told you, it blew up on Twitter just mentioning the fact that, because, like one of the other things I was going to talk about, so might as well just jump in there. But, Doug Pederson is back. He's back, baby. And we knew he was asymptomatic, but, with this damn thing, you never know what the hell is going to happen to people. So we're all crossing our fingers. We just want our leader to be all right. So the man comes back, and I was dying watching this press conference. He was taking shots at the media. He was making fun of Howard Eskin. He called Howard Eskin castaway. I was laughing my ass off. They asked, one of the questions was how different training camp would be. And he was like, well, you guys won't allowed to be here. And he's like, no, I'm kidding. I was dying. But it was nice to see him in good spirits. And, dude, the way he was answering, man, Howard Eskin was like, oh, how do you think, things are going to look with you missing all this time? You missed training camp. And he's like, Howard, training camp hasn't even started yet. Right. And, dude, I was dying. And he's like, look, I've been doing all this stuff virtually. He's like, and that's the great thing. Technology, I'm an old man, but I'm still young enough to know how awesome technology is, dude. I don't look past it. And, dude, it's an ever-changing world. And every morning he was talking to Deuce every day. So the man comes back. He's pumped up about it, and he spoke very highly of Greg Ward. That was the one thing brought up to him. And I think it was actually ESP who asked the question, and he was asking about what Greg Ward's job would be here, and he said he's in the starting mix rotation. So and he just seemed confident. He was like, look, he proved himself, just like you were saying, and that's just how it is. But Greg, we're not ready to crown him, and we're not saying that he's the guy, but look, we got rid of Aguilar because that's not the guy, right? No. But he's the guy that proved himself. So until someone else gets a chance here, and they're only going to have 4 weeks to do it, and there's only 2 scrimmages. That was one of the things Doug was asked. How many scrimmages are going to have? And he said 2, where it's live action, going after it. And so we got to pray that everybody's healthy because that's the only damn action they're getting. And then week 1 against the Redskins, like you said, tough test, man. Chase Young, what a beast! Second pick. Oh man, and. And that's it, Greg. Like, I'm not crowning him. I like the kid. And we actually earlier in the video, Jake and I were saying, he's got to improve. And we feel that Moorhead and, Matthew Harper, Jason Avant being there to help, Nickel Ruby Colvin in practice, just getting that iron sharpens iron, as Jake had said earlier. That's just something we feel. And you're going to put that guy in there, so that's just who I feel is there. And after hearing the way he talked about it, he seemed pretty confident about it. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, and we talked about this earlier, but it's all good. I know people don't have all the time in the world to sit here and watch the whole damn thing. So do not mind brushing up on that. But, yeah, we had all agreed. But I hear you, Greg. Trust me, he's not a guy that's going to jump off the, screen at you, getting it done. But we talked about last year, you talked about how great he was at catching. He had a 70% catch rate his first game getting to start. The guy only started 3 games. He played in 7, which the one game he had 2 offensive snaps, so I don't even really count that. But he helped on special teams too. But I really feel when he got a chance, he showed exactly what he showed in the prior years. Like this isn't just something that happened. It was like he's been proving himself. Whereas everyone was in love with Paul Turner and all the preseason heroes, and it's like this guy is a legit wide receiver that came in and helped us win games, man. Right? Trinity's asking where her top badge is. You're gonna have to message Ralphie. I think he is maybe as the producer, maybe he understands it. She says she earns it. Ask Tom. Andy's coming at you, Jake. He is coming at you. Don, my man. Don's tuning in. Lions fan. We got to thank him every show for giving us Darius Slay. Check out Greg and Andy showing up. Oh, she's got her eyes set on you. So thank you for tuning in, Trinity. Great to have you. They're showing their badges. Unreal. What are we going to do there? So now back to what we were talking about. The offensive line is the biggest concern. That's where it all begins. They never get any love. We all know that. But I think in today's world, definitely helps when you're a fan of the Eagles. You got guys like Trey Thomas, making, the trench talk videos and stuff like that. It's really great to be able to, break things down and see things from their perspective and really get a feel for the game, man. And we were blessed to get to talk to Trey Thomas that day, dude. Yeah, and to hear him like agreeing though what we were saying, and then for him to be thrown off too. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Like, Peter's at right guard, but we're all under the same thing. The same feeling that if anyone can do it, man. Right guard has some pretty responsible, big responsibilities. Talking to the quarterback and stuff, and Brandon Brooks was a pivotal part. So, if anyone, hopefully it's him. And we've already talked about the different, not just him moving from the left side to the right side. It's, his body too, the muscle memory, all that stuff that really affects him. So we're excited, but we're also scared shitless. So we'll finally get to, I saw somebody mentioned it a little earlier, and we mentioned it earlier too. Don't worry. I said, don't worry. It's coming at us because we've mentioned the name Everson Griffin a million times. James, what's up, my man? Thanks for tuning in, dude. But yeah, we know we've been clamoring for Everson Griffin, but yeah, clearly the Cowboys went, scooped him up. What's Greg's got going? Thanks, Don. He should thank us for giving him a winning football team to watch. Yeah, exactly. We have a number 1 corner. How about it, Greg? I was saying earlier today, I can't believe he's Philadelphia Eagle. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, we finally have a legit guy, right? Like, dude, it's been since Asante, and I grew up watching, Lito, Sheldon. I mean, actually, let's keep it real. Before that, Troy and Bobby. Then before that, it was really Eric Allen, Mark McMillan. So it's. I've been waiting, and we've had our Domdies and Byrons, and, now people are losing their mind, like we mentioned, about the practice videos of Darius Slay without a safety, no pass rush. We get it. But it's just more of a testament to Sean. So we're going to chill on that. But, okay, guys, we get it. We wanted the pass rush to get better, right? Well, the Cowboys went ahead, took our guy, and he wasn't our guy. The Eagles, if they wanted him, would have went out and got him. It looks like, Vinny Curry was the last piece. And this is what we talked about, right? We even mentioned Vinny Curry if it had to be him. And it wasn't really the one hopping off the chart to us. But let's see what we got. And I love Vinny Curry. Don't get me wrong. And I'm only saying that like that because I was spoiled by a championship team that had, veterans that came in and provided that extra pass rush at the end of the game, And I like Brandon Graham a lot. Derek Barnett needs to step it up, dude. I mean, it's now or never for him. We talk about he's going to cost us $10 million. He's either getting cut, traded, or something needs to happen there. So, yeah, Vinny Curry's not much of a pass rusher. 5 sacks, like 5 tackles for a loss, 15 quarterback hurries. That's pretty decent for a guy that, helps in the run. But how do you feel about this pass rush now that Everson Griffin? And then on the flip side, how the hell do you feel about Everson Griffin? Because now it's either Griffin or Lawrence for Dillard. So how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, Lawrence, I'm not really scared about.
Yeah,
and if what do you call it? If Harlem Cowboys still here. He knows after that contract, it was kind of like he's good. Don't get me wrong, he's good, but he's not worth the contract that he's getting by any means. I mean, Everson Griffin. It's the latter part of his career, but again, he's still Everson Griffin. You still have to account for him. But yeah, they also have Don Terry Poe, Gerald McCoy.
Gerald McCoy this year,
that kind of went under the deck a little bit. People didn't realize that move. Oh. But it's again, they're all older guys. Yep. They're not anything special anymore, I should say. But again, it's just they're older veterans. They can still make plays, so it's concerning. But again, you're not going to get and Aldon Smith.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's a great point. They're under the kind of the same thing we're under, though. You know, it's like we gotta stay healthy, but I think they're more under. We have a lot left at the tank when it comes to Alshon, Deshaun, our veterans. But with those guys, you're right. You know, they're a little older. Griffin is a great addition for them. He's going to help those older guys really excel. So it's going to be an intense pass rush. That's where the concerns come in with this offensive line. We take on some very, very good defensive lines. So it's going to be intriguing to see. We're going to get tested off the bat. Like you said, the Washington football team. I still do it all the time.
Everybody does.
And the pros do it too. So I'm like, I don't feel too bad, man. I'm not trying to say it, but it's just like when you've been saying it for 34 years.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It took me forever when I was a kid to stop thinking of the Cardinals in our division. And when I say that to people, they're like, what? And I'm like, oh, you're not even old enough. I'm like, holy shit, I'm old. Shit. Because people are like, I hate them. We should have made it to the Super Bowl in 04. I'm like, look, or 03 or whatever it was. And it's like, look, dude, I can't. Don't talk about that shit with me. 05, 06, whatever. I'm an old man now. And it's like, you think I don't know? But let me tell you, I hated them back when they had Plummer. I hated them, but trust me, I've always disliked them. They even had Emmitt Smith at the end there. How weird that was.
Yeah.
I can't. But one thing you were mentioning, something about Gerald McCoy, him being, one of the under the radar additions. So correct. I think that, a great pickup for them, but I also how great Eagles fans are. Like that day, someone was already picking through, like, I'm going to get you. And they went through the internet and they found his ass. And he was on there with Skip and the whole cowboy party. Woo! Broke backing it up. And literally, the Cowboys, in his mind, he was not pumped about it. I'm just not a big fan of Dak. I think Carson Wentz is a better quarterback, is what he said. You hate to see it. Yeah, you just hate to see it. So I agree with the Dallas Cowboys defensive tackle, Gerald McCoy, when he says that Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than his quarterback, Dak Prescott. So great job, Eagles social media and anyone else who is part of. I love being a part of A2D. I love just part of the whole, just seeing the great things that come. And I love doing the show. Like I love the questions, comments. I love just laughing my ass off, man. It's a great world we live in, man. And there's some funny ass people, And
absolutely.
Now you got platforms to see it, dude. So I'm excited, because one of the things you and I were talking about before the show is it's like, it's awesome. Like, it's so great and what a great experience, and like how thankful we were, and like thanks to Tom for giving us a platform, where it's like where everyone else, you turn on sports shows, it's reruns and everything. Everybody's just like, I want something. And look, we know we didn't have much to work with, but you take what you can and give people the understanding. Like, look, dude, I know it's all just on paper. I know I'm only watching college tape. Did you fucking think I'm that good at Photoshop? I'm putting Eagles uniforms on them and watching them. It's going to be the same thing. Same thing. Like, no. And honestly, if you're looking at tape, I take it all. Like, who's the competition and what's going on? Someone like Davian Taylor. That's an intriguing pick. This was something I wanted to get to. So, one of those guys, just briefly I'll say it, but he's one of those guys where he's a project. And to take him in the third round, pretty wild, pretty big reach. But he's a project, man, and he needs to work on an assload of things. He doesn't have much at all, so you're not going to see much of anything. He had no interceptions. He had one sack. each year. It's like, he did have 10 tackles for loss and then 8 his next year, but he only had 2 years after he transferred 1 year from JUCO college. So he's very raw. So that's concerning. So we might as well get to that was one of the topics I wanted to get to at one point. And I really did it. I'm going to be real with you. Hold on. We can take another deflection here. It's obvious now that the Eagles fans believe Wentz is better than Dak. Bro, I've believed it from day one. You have to understand that I am a big believer in Carson Wentz. You can ask my girlfriend, I was having heart palpitations when we moved up to pick 2. I'm like, now we're just relying on the Rams to fail and take Jared Goff. Please take Jared Goff, please. I've been clamoring for this dude. People forget what 2017 looked like. Yep. I know Nick Foles finished it off, but dude, we would have killed everyone. It would have been worse for them if Carson Wentz was there. So he's got weapons now. So y'all are about to find out. And we have a defense. But hey, I'll give credit where credit's due, Harlem Cowboy, and you know I do. Don't you dare, because you know I do. Cowboys are a damn good team. And Dak Prescott, I think Dak Prescott is being slept on by the media right now. People are talking down on him, and I'm going to be real with you. I think the guy's going to have a great season. So I'm not sitting here hating Harlem Cowboy. I'm just saying Carson Wentz is a better quarterback because I believe he's one of the top quarterbacks in the game. And I think this year he's finally going to move into that. That was one of our shows. You remember? We talked about him finally moving in. It was a poll question. Do you think he'll be considered in that elite company? Because he's still in that argument just because a lot of people don't watch it like we do. A lot of people just see, you didn't. And they say, he's injured all the time. First off, the guy's only missed 8 games. He had 2 full seasons out of his 4. And he got rushed back at one point. So those 8 games maybe wouldn't have been so much. So honestly, I think that, people just need to chill on it and find out, if he's not getting a cheap shot to the head, what he can do. And I understand it's part of football, but that can happen to anyone. The guy's not injury prone. Like, for that to be that, the guy would have to be getting hurt every year. And it's preposterous. But one thing I will talk about, which I try to avoid, try to take your comment there, Harlem Cowboy, and avoid it some more. But unfortunately, the position that we've talked about over and over and over and over again is the Philadelphia Eagles linebacking core. Okay? We're not happy about it. And what happens? What do they do? And we've been talking about it like, well, they really didn't do anything. They went ahead and brought in Jatavis Brown, and we're like, you know what? Maybe this guy's going to surprise us. Has a little bit of starting experience, played for the San Diego Chargers. Sure, they were hurt, but never know, right? Kid's 26, got a lot left in him. We're going to find out because not much competition here. We need him to step up as that only veteran that we brought in. He retires. And hey, man, Doug Pederson said in his press conference, his heart wasn't in it. And, you're only going to be a hindrance to our team. So, okay, you're gone now. So now, now the linebacking core looks even scarier than it did before because now you lost him. And people talk about it. And one of the names we talked about was Nigel Bradham. We wanted Nigel Bradham to come back. Well, now we went to the Saints. That Nigel Bradham played the most snaps out of any linebacker that we had last year. He had over 700 snaps. It was like 717, I believe. 70% of our snaps he played. Oh, yeah. And then you also lost another starter who was banged up at the time, but Camus Grugier-Hill. He went to the Dolphins. Didn't play as much, but that's not good. You lose 300 snaps there, I believe it was. And then Zach Brown had like 250 snaps, and he only played for a part of it. Big chunks of guys not playing a lot. Then when you look at who did get snaps, Nate Gary. Okay, Nate Gary was next up, and he actually had a decent amount. He had like 600-some snaps, 60%. So he's the guy that you assume, which is scary as hell, is going to be the starter. He needs to improve a lot. But then you look at T.J. Edwards. T.J. Edwards didn't even play that much. And sure, he had no missed tackles. He only had 30 tackles. There was only 30 that he didn't miss, So it's like, okay, that's great. And I love how he is against the run. I really do. But in an ever-changing league that is always passing, you need to be able to cover, dude. And I get it. Yep. We're in a division that needs to stop the run. Sure, buddy. But we're getting hit with play action and you're getting burnt. That's not good. So we look at it. You're losing thousands, over like 1,200 snaps with starting guys. That's scary as hell. Obviously, our rookies have no starting snaps. You look at Duke Riley, who had 28 snaps, I believe it was, on defense.
Around
Obviously,
there,
a special teams guy. And then Alex Singleton, 0 defensive snaps, pure special teams. So now that we've lost Jatavis Brown, what are your thoughts on this, man? How are you feeling? Because I'm sorry. Let me piss you off before let me piss you off before I talk, because this pissed me off when I'm watching it, because I don't like to be pandered. And the question was asked, how do you feel about this linebacking core, to Doug Pederson? And his answer was, I am very excited. This young, energetic crew that we have. I'm just so excited. We invested so much time, me and Howie Roseman and the staff. We put so much time in this linebacking room. So excited about it. Can't wait. Jumping through the fucking roof. How do you feel about it, Jake? Are you jumping through a roof, or do you want to put your head through a roof for a different reason?
I'm just sitting in my lawn chair right now, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
But again, people that are like, "Oh, Doug Pederson saying this and that." I mean, he's the head coach. What do you expect him to say? He's not going to say. He's not going to say our linebacking core is awful. It's terrible. It's the worst core I've ever seen. He's not going to say that. He's going to add those little. He's going to compliment his linebacking core with adding a couple little fluff words like energetic and young and youthful and athletic. And he's going to add all those little fancy little tidbits in there.
Make us feel good.
Exactly. You're putting like sprinkles on shit. At the end of the day, you can make it look better all you want to. It's still shit.
True.
But again,
True.
Could some guy surprise us? Sure, absolutely. Could TJ Edwards step up? People have been complimenting Shaw Bradley, saying he looks good. But again, it's practice. Again, they're all young, which is fine. We needed youth on this football team. I understand that. But again, you need – this is why I say you need certain players to kind of mold these young guys. There's not necessarily an older guy here. The quote-unquote veteran in the linebacking core right now is Nate Gary. So,
exactly. Yeah, like you said, that's the veteran.
You just shake your head at this point. I mean, obviously our linebacking core wasn't great in 2017, but Bradham had a great year in 2017, and it had Michael Kendricks still, and Michael Kendricks is still out there. So maybe I'm just saying, maybe. Why not?
Veteran minimum.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt.
We talk about dabbling, yeah.
He likes to play in the stock market a little bit, but again, who doesn't? I'm just saying.
That's the only concern. Is he going to prison? That might be unfortunate if you're at practice one day and they're like, hey, look, man, we're going to need you to come on down here. So I'm with you. That was a name I mentioned too. So, but yeah, you got to watch out for, I guess, his jail. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I forgot about that. That's happened when he got released from us. But you know how the legal system works. So years later, we're talking about it again. Mm-hmm. But I think, it is scary. Nate Gary is the guy that leads your team. The guy had 78 tackles last year. I think Malcolm Jenkins was our leader with 81.
Something like that.
Not wonderful numbers, but you want your linebacker, especially in our division, to have a lot more tackles. I understand he had a core muscle injury. So I'm hoping maybe he comes back healthy and something happens. I don't know. But honestly, it's scary as hell. But I think it comes back on to what we talked about before. Using those safeties in that big nickel role, in that linebacker, the star linebacker, the guy that's coming in and he's covering these tight ends and running backs that you wanted your linebacker to cover, and he can also tackle. So you got guys like Will Parks. You got guys like Kayvon Wallace, guys like Jalen Mills. All three of those guys are going to mix and match. Maybe you'll see them on the field at the same time while Rodney McLeod's holding it down as free safety. And you're going to see these guys moving. Yep. And I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. So I think that gives me a little more confidence in this defense when you talk about the linebackers. At least we have that there, and we have a plethora of corners competing. So I feel a little more comfortable. But, man, that Jatavis Brown, how did you feel when you heard that? I was like, this can't. Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't upset per se, because he wasn't anything fantastic.
I didn't think he would. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and again, it's depth. And from the report I saw, he said he quote unquote didn't love the game anymore, didn't have the same feel for the game anymore, which is fine. I'm not saying anything bad about the guy, but again, it's just one of those things to where I said it on when A2D came out with the post. It was one of those things to where a poor linebacking core got what do you call it, got that much worse. And people crucified me for it. Be like, oh, you're so negative, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be fine. I'm like, okay, where's the proof in that? You have young guys, but it's just so where are you getting this confidence from saying our linebacking core is going to be fine?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, and what do you had said it yourself, what do you expect Doug to say? Like, he's going to tell you positive things, and he doesn't want to be talking down to them, especially at a time where they really haven't been able to show anything. So we don't even know. Like, we could be wrong. And and I've said this, though, you have to look at it, man. As I said, Davian Taylor, he's raw. Okay. And he's got a lot of work to do. But I think it's actually he's the closer to being something special for us. I think he has the higher ceiling when it comes to him and Bradley. I think where he has, from what I've seen, he's got the loose hips. He's got the skills to be able to cover, and he really can be that nickel linebacker we need him to be eventually if he keeps growing. Mm-hmm. But his problems are some of the things, like when he's tackling and stuff, he keeps his head down. He needs to tackle his head up. There's certain little things that I picked up where it's like, man, if someone just coached him up the right way, that kid, because he has the things you can't teach. He closes on people, man. He hits. He's got wide length. Whereas on the opposite side, Sean Bradley doesn't have that length. They're both 6'1". They're both like 225, but Sean Bradley doesn't have that wingspan. He doesn't use his hands like that. He doesn't get off the tackle. And Davian Taylor does struggle with linemen coming up to second level. So, I mean, they both have to work on that. But I feel Bradley has tighter hips. I think he's someone that actually needs more work, whereas I know a lot of people were talking highly of Bradley, and I am too. I like him, but I think he's going to help us on special teams. I don't think I just think he's a guy that actually gives you more upside than someone like Alex Singleton, where, you know what I mean, where you're just like, he's just special teams. And to begin, Sean Bradley is just special teams. But I think, and I don't know, though, because Alex Singleton definitely balled out. So maybe if he does again, and with who we're talking about here, dude, these are all like third, fourth linebackers, so they're all trying to actually, get starting jobs. And you never know. You never know who's going to step it up. But Taylor says here that our wide receivers were looking quick today. Something we talked about, where we're taking the positives from it. Got to see Deshaun burning. Jake was talking about Quez Watkins burning them. We know that that's what we have. And we saw what we could do with one burner, what Carson Wentz looked like for one game. We got a little taste of it. Just imagine with all of these guys, and you don't just talk about Jackson and Rieger. We were talking about Hightower, Watkins. So it's a nice, and even, midway through the season, maybe something happens. You get a little taste of Killins, we were saying. So, hey, we'll see. But yeah, we agree. We agree with you, Taylor. Looking good, and we're excited. We can't wait to see what this offense does. Slay, Nikel, Rubico, and Sidney. Looks like John agrees with me. Something that, we had a video. I believe you were part of that one when we talked about Sidney winning cornerback number 2. And that's a tough one to debate, and it's up in the air, man. And I understand where people love Devontae. Only thing I say is, I think that now back to, got to stay healthy. Yeah, we know. Sidney Jones needs to stay healthy, and that was his problem last year. But if you look at it, he only played 30% of the snaps. But in that time, and he was like the Greg Ward of defense, he came in. And he balled out, and he helped us win those games, especially against Cowboys, Redskins, Giants. He did great. I thought he did well. In PFF, he was like the second-ranked cornerback in the last 3 games. He had like 2 pass breakups, an interception. Now, in that season, with 30% of the snaps on defense, he had 8 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. If you look at guys like Vontae Maddox had 51% of the snaps. Rasul Douglas had double the reps at 59% of the snaps, and they both had 10 pass breakups, no interceptions. So the guy actually put forth more effort and more stats that you can look at for the people that just want to look at that. So it's not just, people, watch the tape. It's like, I did. Did you? Because he actually did better. And it's like, you want him to be the guy that we talk about. Do you remember he was going to be a top 10, top 15 pick, and he got hurt? And I get it, dude. But he was rushed that one year. So let's just hope that he's healthy, and we'll get, congrats to Prism, by the way, on starting your new job. That's what's up, brother. But Jake, how are you feeling about the secondary? I think, we'll give the people that weren't watching, but that's how I think that you saw it going. But what do you see there? One thing I was saying, though, was I think Avante, he doesn't need to be called a starter, right? Like he's a guy that can play a little safety. He can be moved around, one of those versatile guys we talked about. Same with LeBlanc. They don't have to be starters. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Avante's still young. He's only coming into his third year. You saw a lot of promise in his rookie year. You saw him kind of take a little bit of a step back in his second year. But again, that happens with players. But you saw the ability that Avante has. The only issue I have with him, he's a bit of a smaller guy, but he plays a lot bigger than how small he is. But it's one of those things to where he's a versatile player. He can play safety, which we saw, and he can play corner as well. So it's just one of those things to where, like you said, Jimmy, I hope to God Sidney Jones stays healthy because from what we saw from him back in, what was it? Yeah, 2017, his last season in Washington, he was phenomenal. And then that pro day where he ruptured his Achilles just killed him. And I remember when we drafted him in the second year, when we drafted him back in 2017 in the second round, I lost my mind. I'm like,
I was excited as hell.
We got the best cornerback in the draft, and unfortunately, injuries happen and unforeseen circumstances happen with him. But I still have confidence in this kid, and he showed a lot down the stretch last year towards the end. So I'm confident he has another season under him. Obviously, he was rehabbing a lot this season. This is like his first off season to where he can work in the weight room, work on his technique a lot. You saw a lot of that. So it's going to be one of those things to where I really hope Sidney Jones does step up because to be honest with you, the number 2 position at corner is a major, major question mark. I mean, you have depth, but at the same time, I'd love to have a guy just cemented in at that number 2 position.
Exactly. If you have him there, then you feel comfortable, right? If he pans out, because guys, are you really going to feel comfortable? Because it's like, we do love Avonte Maddox. I'm not sitting here saying like I'm a big fan of his, but I don't feel comfortable. Like you said, he's undersized, and I like him moving around, covering some of these running backs and smaller receivers. So it would be awesome if Sidney panned out. Him and Slay together, my God. Now you see Harlem Cowboy saying he thinks Tavon Diggs will be better. I don't know, man. He's going to have to show it. I know Sidney in college was better. So I think if he stays healthy and stays what he's doing. And one thing I like to see from people is how do you do in pressure situations? Not only did he step up, he made game-winning plays. So, I mean, the guy showed that he wants to play and he's hungry. If you saw the article Mike K wrote, it was awesome. He watches every film and he's getting pissed off. Like he's pissed. He knows that he left a lot on the field and he's like, I don't want to make mistakes anymore. And, something you had mentioned earlier, Marquand Manuel, another one of our favorites. I think this guy is going to come in and really push these guys into gear. He was a D coordinator before. Maybe he takes over when Jim Schwartz eventually leaves, but I think he's going to be great. So I think this could be a big thing. And one of the things we talked about in that video, why Sidney could do so much better is he actually has another corner helping him. We're not relying like, oh, dear God, please be our first because Ronald Derby sucks. Yeah. But no. Now you have a number 1. He's going to help you. You have a nickel corner that could, line up next year or whatever's happening. You're going to be helped. Oh, it's going to be beautiful, but you have a better coach too. And you have receivers that are going to make you better. You're going against fast guys. You're not going against Deontay Burnett in practice like, oh, I got this that day. Then all of a sudden Julio Jones is whooping your ass. That wasn't happening. Mike Evans or something. So it's like this is going to be much better for us, and I can't wait. One of the questions Harlem Cowboy asked was, who do I think has a better secondary? I don't know, man. Diggs hasn't proven anything in this league. I think at the end of the year, Sidney showed a little bit, so that's a little bit further there. I do think that Awuzie is a much better corner than people give him credit for. And I hate the Cowboys, brother. But you know what I mean? We give credit where it's due, man. That's what we do here. And that's why you let a guy like Byron Jones go. Like, people are like, wait, what are you doing? I mean, the Cowboys, they're ass clowns, but let's get real here. They knew what they were doing. They have a guy that really can hold it down. And Tavon Diggs is a damn good corner. So I agree that they are going to be a very good one. But that was one of the topics I wanted to make one. It was actually a couple weeks ago I was going to talk about that. I was like, but we're just going to talk Sidney. So I changed it up. But that's something I wanted to make. Who has the best secondary? Honestly, I didn't want to dance too much because it was like, ooh, there's some intriguing, and you and I, we talked about this last week and we were like, ooh, the Giants, they have Xavier McKinney and Jabril Peppers there. Then, Landon Collins on the Redskins. He talks about Brown Lewis being at Cowboys. It's like, look, I think we have good secondaries in this division. I think that we improved greatly, though. Nickel Roby-Coleman is one of the best nickel corners. I feel very highly. I think Darius Slay is the most slept on, underrated corner in the game. And if Sidney Jones pans out, I love Rodney back there. And I think it's a big question. It is. This is a what if that's from the ages because we're all just kind of like, because I do love it. And I love that the safeties can move around. But, oh, dear God, you just lost the guy that played 99% of your defensive snaps. Yep. So, yeah, we're scared. We're scared. But honestly, if they pan out, I truly believe from what I saw at LSU from Jalen Mills and what I've been clamoring for years, why I want him there, that I'm comfortable here. And I'm comfortable with the fact that Will Parks will hold it down, helping out his big nickel and doing that stuff. But Kayvon Wallace, I think that Jalen will do his thing, and that's great. But I think Kayvon's going to eventually come into his own, and we're going to have ourselves a safety of the future. So I really feel that the Eagles have the best secondary. But that is not a knock, Harlem Cowboy, because you heard me give love to your number one corner, and I do think you guys have a good secondary, but I'm going to give it to the Eagles on that, but it's unproven right now, man. This team hasn't even played together, man. But neither of you guys without Byron Jones. So just looking at it from paper standpoint, man. And, you know, if it's close, I'm a Birds fan, baby. Go with my Birds. But, you know, Eagles have a way better second. John's going with the Eagles here. And that's the thing, man. I'm not saying that you don't have a good one, but you have to understand as Eagles fans, this is something we've had our eyes on for a long time. So if we make a good move and we're telling you it's a good move, be confident that it's a good move because we are very hard. If you think that you're hard on us, dude, don't worry. When you guys aren't watching, when you don't see, we're hard on our own team more than you could ever imagine. And, you know, we hold them to a standard. And I'm not saying there's some of those fans that are ass clowns. I'm not going out harassing players or anything. I'm just saying we break it down and we know what we expect from our players. And when they play here, man, they know what we expect. So if they're not giving it, man, sorry, dude, you're going to feel the wrath. Nelson Aguilar, man, you got dudes catching babies, okay, out of houses that are on fire, throwing shots at you after they just caught a baby out of a burning house. Like, that was one of the most rich videos I've ever seen in my life. I was like, I can't believe this dude just, I'm like, Nelson Aguilar. Like, what? Oh, that was rich. And did you see who was it the other day? John Gruden. Somebody was pumped up. They're like, oh, Nelson Aguilar is going to. Here's the thing. I honestly think he could have a good season there. And we saw what Nelson Aguilar was capable of when he actually had good receivers around him. You cannot put that guy outside and expect him. He is not that good. But he can come up. And I think what people forget is we don't win the Super Bowl without Nelson Aguilar coming up big. So I give the guy love, and I'm hoping the best for him because now we don't have to pay him, and we don't have to be pissed off and catch any babies and throw shade at him. So I'm hoping the best. What do you think about him down there? I mean, they got Darren Waller. You saw how well Williams did there. Renfro. So exciting. But I don't know, man. What do you think about that situation?
It's a lot of young guys with the Raiders. So it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, they're opening up their new stadium. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to have fans there. I don't know if they announced it. I could be wrong. But that looks like a pretty nice stadium to go to. I will say that.
Terrible.
You know. But again, John Gruden said it too. He thinks it's a change of scenery type of thing. And honestly, the fact that we're Eagles fans, he'll be an All-Pro next year. So
yeah, exactly.
So it's one of those things where could he be phenomenal in a new uniform and a new organization? Sure. I don't have anything against the guy. Obviously, he left a sour taste in our mouths when he left. He basically checked out for the season, and as an Eagle after that Patriots game, he's like, "Oh, I'm hurt. I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be able to play." Okay. All right, dude. Whatever.
I will give him this. The one thing I saw last year, he got hurt in the Vikings game, and he didn't say anything because he knew he was going to feel the heat. But instead, he kept playing. Now you're hurting your team when you're doing that. His knee was like the size of a watermelon. Then he comes back the next week, and all you're doing is dropping balls, messing the team up. So it's like, dude, just be Jatavis Brown. If you're not going to help the team, if you're going to be a hindrance, do the team a service and just check out, man, because you mentally already checked out. You know, oh, I don't want to get hurt more. It's like, well, then sit down, dude. Like, so wish you all the best, bud. But glad to see you go because we knew once he was gone, maybe we would finally put some damn emphasis on the wide receiver position, which you can have that good secondary, man. But I think Carson Wentz, if he was eating people alive, and he wasn't eating people, I'm not saying he's jumping off the stats there those last games against division rivals. But, if he was beating them with what he had then, strap in, ladies and gentlemen, because Carson Wentz is about to take you for a ride. And I get it. I know, and everyone always goes, well, he fumbles. He fumbles. And it's like, I know he needs to work on that. And if that's the one thing you need to work on, good. Because that's something you can fix, man. And that's something you can work on. So, wonderful. You not throwing interceptions in the red zone? Yeah, I like that. See, you don't have to work on that. And over his career, isn't it something ridiculous? 67 touchdowns in the red zone, 2 interceptions.
His red zone percentage, I think, is the best in the league in the last 3 years.
It's phenomenal. Yep, people check it out because they don't check it out because they're like, look, I need to fit my narrative here. So he fumbles. And we know he fumbles, guys. We get it. But yet Kyler Murray fumbles his ass off and he's the greatest thing coming. Now, I think Kyler Murray is going to be a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But it's funny when you're a Philadelphia quarterback, it's a whole different narrative. It's well, he sucks because, he's an Eagle. So we hate the Eagles. And it's true because it's so funny. National media is hilarious. And I think we talked about this one show because it's I actually need that. I need you to hate us. We want you to doubt us and tell us that we're not good because that's when we come out and punch you right in the face. So go ahead, man. Keep doubting us. I'm all about it. I don't know, but I'm excited for this team, man, and I'm excited for these young wide receivers. I could jump through a roof, and it was right before I started working with you guys that the draft had happened. I wish we could have been there because I think it would have went very differently because it was very funny because I'm a huge Jalen Reagor fan. So it's that's something that a lot of people, and it's a lot of my buddies reach out and they're like, thank you, man, because I'm telling you, I was really struggling with the draft because you're happy at least with the first pick. At least you have that. They're I'm dying. The first, the second, the third. They're I don't know where I am. And it's if we wouldn't have picked Kayvon Wallace, the city of Philadelphia might have been on fire. It's it was not going well for some people. And, I understand it. I do. And I was a huge fan of Justin Jefferson. So don't think I'm sitting out here saying he wouldn't have been a great addition to our team. He would have been a slot guy. But maybe that's a testament to Greg Ward, that they liked him there. And, this was the plan, guys. I talked about it, and obviously I wasn't a part of A2D yet, but this was something I talked about where Arcega-Whiteside was brought in to be Alshon Jeffrey's replacement. And then the next year we would be adding a speedy wide receiver. And, dude, this is the guy. I got to study film, and I was like, dude, if we get this kid, I'm gonna lose my mind because I was I want to be happy. And I actually wanted to tell this story earlier because it's hilarious, but I was excited about someone jumping through the wall, excited for the first time since Deshaun Jackson when I was younger. Dude, get this. So 13 years ago, I'm 21, just turned 21 because I'm 34 now. Right. So I'm with my buddies and there's a whole bunch of different fans Steelers, Giants, and all this stuff. And we're watching the draft and I'm all right, there's just one kid I need. And his name is Deshaun Jackson from California. We're sitting there watching the draft and I'm getting pretty sauce. This is when I still got a little tender, and I'm getting it in, and we're all having a good time, and it's getting closer and closer. So we come up, and we've got pick 47. So I'm like, all right, here we go. Yeah, Sean Jackson's still there. I can't believe it. We go ahead and take Trevor Laws, defensive tackle out of Notre Dame. I'll never forget it. It's there, right in my head. So I'm like, in my heart, I'm like, God, because who's up next but the Washington football team? I got myself. So they're up next. I'm like, just like you said earlier, Nelson Aguilar is going to go become an all-pro. Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, here we go. They're taking him. There we go. They're taking Deshaun Jackson. Why wouldn't they? Wouldn't they? And earlier in the draft, they took Devin Thomas, I want to say, from Michigan State. But they ended up taking that tight end, Fred Davis, maybe it was.
I think so.
Yeah, so they take him at 48, and I'm like, it's back on, baby. Here we go. So at this moment, I'm a little bit tendered out. So I'm like, I'll tell you what, right now, if we pick Deshaun Jackson, I'm calling my mom, and I'm telling her I'm going to church tomorrow. And they're all like, all laughing. I was like, please, God, please. Like, I'm losing it. They're all laughing at me like, you're ridiculous, dude. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles with pick 49 select Deshaun Jackson I'm losing it. I'm jumping. I run outside, rip my shirt off. I'm losing my mind. I'm thinking, here we come, Super Bowl. I'm losing my mind. I did. I loved it. I come back in, and you know how friends are. Especially when you say something like I said. So I'm all like, hey, all right, guys, let's get back to drinking. Let's have a good time. They're like, oh, what up, bro? I'm like, what's going on? They're like, aren't you? We're all waiting. Like, and the house is dead silent. Like, the volume's down on the TV. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, turn it on. Like, what? It's like, dude, you got to call your mom. I'm like, bro, like, what? And they're like, yeah, dude. And I'm like, how am I really good? They're like, dude, call her up. You got to go, dude. So I'm like, I guess you're right. I call my mom. Okay. And, she's not like really into that kind of stuff. She's like, hey, dude. I'm like, nah, man, just give me a call in the morning. I was like, I'm gonna go to church with you. Like, I really didn't want to talk to her because she knew I was gonna. She's like, what the hell? Like, and so I'm thinking in her head, she's probably like, oh God, he's drinking. He probably, wants to come to church. And I'm like hanging up. They're all busting up laughing, like, ah. So they all think it's hilarious. And I'm like, here's the problem, assholes. Like, I'm getting trashed with you guys tonight, and I'm supposed to go to church with my mom tomorrow. And like, she knew where my buddy lived. So she's like, oh yeah, dude. So of course, that we got as rowdy as we possibly could that night.
Oh yeah.
Up till like 4 or 5 in the morning. Mm-hmm. I have absolutely no sleep. Even though I woke up with my buddy's chain, she gave me a nice pair of clothes to wear. I looked and dude, it was the most horrible. I felt like hell, but all of a sudden, this little tingling came in my heart and soul, and I was like, oh yeah, Deshaun Jackson.
Right.
And dude, it was the most hilarious day because I was literally sitting in there. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm still drunk, but we have Deshaun Jackson. And I literally didn't hear anything that entire day except Deshaun Jackson. So just wanted to tell that story because I always found it to be one of the most hilarious stories because it was like, that really, really have to do that for him. And I actually told, I messaged him on Twitter last year, and I was like, dude, I have the most hilarious story because I was trying to get him to come back. I was like, you need to leave the Bucs to just come. And he was saying he wanted out. And I'm telling you, it's hilarious. I actually made that video that day. He gets traded to the Eagles like 2 hours later, and I was at like Target. So I like messaged him. I'm like, hey, I was like, I just told you the story of how much I went through to get you here. Like, obviously, I didn't go through anything to get him here, but it was just hilarious. And I was like, I think that deserves an interview, But obviously, he did not see that the same way.
No.
So we did not get that interview, but I've always loved it, man. But I honestly, I can tell you, if I have that gut feeling, it's only for certain players, man. And I felt it for Carson Wentz.
Yep.
And I felt it for Jalen Reagor. And I'm telling you, I was like, and for Carson, it was more, you felt like, okay, if they take off, like we got him. It was only 2. You had to wait there. Reagor, right. I'm like, what? Are we really getting him? The Eagles, did they ever? I mean, the year before, I can't believe they took Dillard. I was shitting my pants. Like, they really do? Okay. But then they took Reagor, and I was like, okay, I love you guys. I love you to death. I do. Now we all know what happened at 53, so fuck you.
Yeah.
But I saw something today. It's like someone like it's ridiculous to see people just try to make it's like, dude, you're not gonna make me feel good about it. We're not going to ever feel he messed up. And I don't care what you say, like not you. I'm just saying, like I don't care what they say. They honestly like, well, it's like, look, man, I get it. We're a quarterback factory now. Nobody wants it. Nobody wanted it. We all wanted a cornerback, a safety, a center, a guard, a receiver, another, we all, Denzel Mims. We got to add Hamler. Could you imagine? I know. Right. Dobbins. I mean, it's hurting me thinking about it now because you guys have to understand, like, I was pumped and I was on a show that day. And I'm like, they're asking me who I think, and they're like, well, you got Reagor. Who else? And I'm like, okay, well, here's who I think, breaking it down. Like, this guy, blah, blah, blah. Well, hey, someone, and you and I talked about this because you guys got a little nugget too before it actually happened. And someone like 5 minutes before the pick was like, they actually took quarterback Jalen Hurts. And we're all like, no way that we would ever take a quarterback with pick 53. Anyways, so here's what we're going to take. Blah, 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 blah. Keep going with the 53rd. We're like, oh, whoa, here it comes. Down the Eagles. Oh, here. Oh. It was Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
I wish I could have been on with you guys for that one. I saw the reaction. What a great reaction that was. But
so bad.
Dude, luckily I was on a live show with, other people because I was like, I'm not gonna, if it was my own show, I probably would have punched the screen and freaked out because I was like, stay calm. And I wasn't really calm. I was like, I was pissed, but
right.
We can get to places we don't need to on camera. So that made me want to feel that way, dude. And it sucks. And it is one of those hurt pieces. And oh my God, I honestly, no pun intended there. It is a hurt piece because that was something that it's going to hurt me for a while because we had glaring holes before these injuries, for these retirements, right? Jake, I mean, how many shows have I had you on that we talked about these things before the problems came? And
absolutely.
Like, okie doke. And it's like, we're not sitting here saying we're wizards. It's just, you guys see it too. We all see it. That's what we're talking about. Like, Howie, instead of like, and I literally, like, because I get mad about it, because I see him, like, just sitting there, like, being like a little pompous turd. Like, just like, you've got, I wanted to make a meme. I think I'm going to now, but that new one that's going around where it's Leonardo, he's like,
oh, yeah.
Doing that. But it's like, you got all these things like, oh, dude, we need this. We need a linebacker. Or say, like, oh, you could do that. And it's like, well, I'm going to make the fanciest pick here. Like, he thinks he's slick. Like, dude. I don't know if you were sitting in your house drinking some mimosas or like what you do or what was going on during that draft, man. But then for the fact that I was like, okay, maybe he just like someone punched him in the head at home. Something drastic happened. No. Then he says, we called Carson that morning. Imagine how he felt like, they got me Rieger. They're going to get me some more. Then they tell him, hey, we're bringing a guy, don't be worried about it. The same they tell us. Nothing to worry about, guys. We only drafted a quarterback in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
I still, to this day, but I think you and I talked about this, man. I really feel that maybe as much as we, we're mad about it, but some fans are like, yeah, this is it. We talked about the Nick Foles, bandwagon fans, all those people, but it's like, I think this is just going to light a fire under his ass. I think he's going to get pissed and be like, oh, okay. You wasted this pick. And then we could be mad at Howie, but be happy that we win another Super Bowl. Okay, Don, if there's one team in Philadelphia that you had to let go. A team? Why am I letting? Okay, that's messed up, man. I grew up on my 4 for 4, so I can't get rid of that, man. But if that's what you're asking, because obviously it's not that I hate soccer, but, they're the last ladder of the people that have entered my life. And, I'm going to take them out. Yep. But if you're asking me about 4 for 4, I'd rather take my life, brother. 4 for 4, bro. That's just, it's not 3 for 3. 3 for 4. No.
Yeah.
Don, don't you put that evil on me. Don't you even try. And Don, and how, all right, Jake, how exciting had these last few days. You and I were talking a little bit about the Blazers game last night, but how awesome has it been just to have it? And honestly, it's like, oh, it's a little pregame is what it's felt like because we like basketball. We like baseball. We like hockey. And don't get me wrong, I love all those things. But when it comes down to it, my heart and soul, it bleeds green.
Yeah.
So we all know what's coming. And Monday, they're putting the pads on, the real pads, and hitting each other. They're doing things. We saw them today. And, usually it's funny. Like, oh, and look, I get excited with the pictures. They're putting them out. Like, I know a lot of people, that's cool. Hey-oh. But it just means to me, it's back. And seeing some of these guys, just seeing Darius Slade in the Eagles uniform, I got pretty pumped. I was like, this guy really is here. Like, this is surreal, man. Like, I told you I bought Madden. I still haven't played it. I've been trying to get pumped. I just want to play with this team and hope that it's coming. I did see someone say earlier in the episode, how do I feel? How do we feel about this season? Do we really feel it's going to start on time? That's a great question, man. And I hate that you asked it, but it's a good one. And I've talked about it. It's something that is a possibility, man. We might have a shortened season. It's scary. We don't know what's going on. But I think this is a moneymaker around here, bruh. NFL is always looking to make money. So if it's without fans, they're probably still going to have it. So, but if bad things start happening and it starts spreading, if they don't quarantine right, you saw the guy sneaking his girl in there with the Seahawks gear. If they do that kind of stuff, well, maybe there is a shortened season. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think we have a full one?
I mean, me being the hopeful person that I am, I hope so. I really hope so. But you got to take a couple things from. At least you got to take a look. The MLB's not doing the bubble thing. You're seeing the Marlins and St. Louis Cardinals have issues, but obviously some of these other teams aren't, which I think is interesting. But you look at the NBA and NHL; they're doing the bubble, and it's no issues. It's no issue. So you got to take. I don't know how you can do it with the NFL, Jimmy. I really don't.
Traveling, all of it, dude. Ugh.
Yeah. And it's too late now to get everyone to a central location because it's too close. It's under a month. So you're not going to have time to get all that together, find a stadium and stuff like that. It's just one of those things to where cases are inevitable. Cases are going to happen, whether it be coaches, players, and it's all about adapting. That's what it's really all about. You're going to have to sign more free agents because guys are going to be out for a couple weeks, roster adjustments and stuff like that. It's just something that's going to come with the territory. And like I was talking about, I did my fantasy draft earlier today. You got to adjust with fantasy because it's going to hurt you fantasy-wise too.
Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting.
Yep, and we're not being jerks here, guys. We understand this is a very pressing matter going on in life. We're just saying when it comes to football, because that's what we're here to talk about, it obviously is going to affect you when it comes to fantasy. It's going to affect you when it comes to these things. And we're talking about real life here. It comes to the roster. Jake just mentioned briefly there, because we had actually talked about this earlier. But, you're looking at an expanded practice squad now that can go up to 16 players, guys. Last year it was 10. It was supposed to go to 12, but now it's 16 because of this. 4 of those guys can be, before it used to be a player had to have less than 3 accrued season to be on the practice squad. Now 4 of those guys can be any amount of playing time. So that's great for veterans, maybe just sticking around. And 4 of those guys also can be locked onto the roster every week. So a team can't just take them off your practice squad. So that's a good sign. So, I see Bryce says down here, that it's 50-50. And I agree with you. It's very scary. And college football, with that, a lot of the conferences, Big Ten, SEC stepping out, that's scary, man, right? So you look at that, but they have a lot of liability, man. These guys are millionaires when it comes to football in the NFL. So it's a little different than college. These guys aren't giving those kids money. You now see that, hey, wait a sec, maybe these colleges are really just cash cows for sports, not school. So using those kids anyway. You see it now and you're like, we're not letting, but some of these kids want to play because you feel for them. You do. You understand that, it's unsafe, but some of these kids, it's like, hey, I'm not going to get it. But it's like, hey, don't be selfish. But also, that's their livelihood, and this is rough. This is rough times, man. So we're all scared, guys, and we want these guys to all be able to do what they're awesome at doing and be able to, feel safe doing it. So, when we talk about this stuff, we're not out here trying to be jerks, but, hey, like Bryce said, pay the college kids, then you can play them, Exactly, dude. If they're giving you a service and they're making you billions in NCAA money, yeah, pay them. So, if you're going to use their name and stuff or likenesses, because plus that'll give us NCAA back. And we all know a lot of people need that back. Yeah. That was the best football game ever when I was younger. So if you could, and everything I've heard about Madden, even though I bought this new one, I only got to dabble in it. It kind of was like the same one I played a couple years ago. But, people are pissed. And it's like, I agree. I'd play Madden and be more pumped about it if they would fix franchise and things like that and do stuff like that. Because when I was younger, that's the stuff I was into. And that helped me get into actual football, when I was playing it as a kid, but my coaches weren't getting in depth with me. I was a little kid, I had to do it. And then as I got older, my coaches are like, what the it's like, hey, look, Betty, and my dad's taking me to little Eagles camps and all that stuff. So it's like, it's something I'm always going to love, man. And that's what we do here, guys. We're trying to bring you the best kind of quality content. And when we talk about this stuff, it's because something we love just as much as you. So when we talk about these players, we know. They're human beings. I get it. Yep. And because you always have that person that'll say, and I'm not saying any of you fans or anybody saying that, but there are people, and they always wait to either comment after the show or something like, these are human beings. I'm like, when the hell have I ever said all right, guys, let's send them out to slaughter and hope that everyone gets it. It's like, I literally hope that everyone's, we were talking about this before, bubble. bubble. But it's too late now. It's all that, but now you have to pray that they all just stay safe and do what they have to do to keep each other safe. Because some of these guys have got kids at home, and that, young people are dying from. So I'm just really hoping the best. Vinny Curry talked about, him coming back and how hard, like that was a tough story to read. And his brother passing for Corona, from anyone that didn't read that, really tough story. But it's like, he got a bunch of other offers actually from other teams, and he really, he needed to think things through, but he really just wanted to come home. And that's cool that he wanted to come back here. And I think he's going to do big things. He's playing for his brother. He's going to go out there and it's going to be an interesting year, man. A lot of these guys are hungry, man. So we're all just hoping for that little bit of peace, guys. We're under we get it, guys. Okay. I don't want to sit here and put you under any kind of spell that it's definitely happening. We get it. We're just being positive for you guys, because we're all praying for our sanity that we have it. Because I swear to God, if these people mess up NFL football, I will drop kick mother. But you got one person to keep in Philly, Allen Iverson. I'm keeping Carson Wentz. I need him right now, man. Iverson already did what he could do for me, man. And what a lucky childhood I had. I remember buying NBA 2K1, was it? Allen Iverson Dreamcast. To this day, that game had better facial like on the players than any game I've seen. It's like, what the hell were they doing back in 2001 on the Dreamcast that they had? Allen Iverson looked like Allen. I was like, what the hell? And I remember, there was a couple players, of course, that you were like, that literally looks nothing like him. But those are the players you tell that they're like, fuck him, which is fine, You're like, whatever, dude. But it's still, that was a cool game. But Allen Iverson, bro, come on, man. He is the heart and soul. That guy went out and Tyrone Hill, Aaron McKee, Eric Snow, sure, we brought him to Canby, and we got to the finals. And what a heart, man, that dude stepping over Tehran, all that was my teenage years, man. I grew up, had the Iverson shoes, I had it all, man. Of course, but you can't ask me to choose. But if I had to, I'm taking Carson Wentz, man. I need him. But Allen Iverson, he's a trip, man. That whole practice thing. Now, I am a believer, though, that if you practice every day, you're going to get better. So maybe that's why he never won a championship.
Maybe.
But, also maybe because management sucked ass and never. Chris Webber at the age of 412. Like, oh, yeah, we couldn't have got it, And the fact that we could have had Tracy McGrady with Allen Iverson other than Sean Bradley.
Yeah.
Oh, why couldn't he been Yao Ming, right? Because that would
right.
Oh, and poor Yao. That was another. I'm lucky. I grew up watching those guys, and T-Mac and Yao when they were together. Holy God! If Yao wouldn't have got hurt that year, man, that would have been intriguing in the West. Yeah. All those teams, the Mavs, Suns, Lakers. Those were good times, man. Mm-hmm. It's actually. What's really weird, I was watching one morning, I don't even know why. I just was showing some highlights to my girlfriend, and we were watching like Kobe and T-Mac. And then that day is when I got a notification, and it was like TMZ says, I'm like, what? And when it's like TMZ, so you're like, okay, hold the fuck. Because, that's some rough news, dude. And I was like, no way. So, and to be someone that, tries to report things and everything, it sucks to have to look something like that up and verify. Because I was like, I'm hoping that's not real, dude. And what an impact, though, that guy had on, the sports world, and I thought it was pretty cool when they showed the Eagles had put up, like the Kobe Bryant's like 10 rules of success or whatever it was, and, with someone like Darius and all the players, like everyone looks up to him, he was like the Michael Jordan of, a lot of our, generation. Right. So it's like, the guy was phenomenal, whether you hated the Lakers or not, which I do with all my heart and still do. But it's, the guy was awesome. But watching him and Shaq sucked. And, he won it without him. I know he had Powell and all that. I get it. But the guy was awesome. And that was unfortunate. But I think this team just has, that's another little thing, right? Like, what did you think about that? Like, I got chills when I saw that list. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, so – And I'm right with you, Jimmy. I obviously I was younger. I was a kid. I was in elementary school / middle school when I was watching all these guys play Yao Ming.
But that's like Jordan. I remember that. Hell yeah.
So in the early 90s, growing up watching all these awesome guys play. And it's sad, too, because at least with me, I grew up during like a very odd shift during the NBA. Like the physicality of the NBA was kind of going to the wayside. And now the NBA is just about shooting. And if you even look in the guy's direction, you're getting a penalty. So it's basketball. Yeah, exactly. And if you look back during the Jordan documentary, people were running into each other, punching each other. It was just old school physical basketball. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But now it's just it's glorified shooting. It's a shooting gallery. That's all it is anymore. The basketball is not what it used to be.
Truth.
And it's a shame.
Yep, it really is. And I think that is the end of kind of that era. And Kobe Bryant was one of those people that played with that ferocity, where it was just like he was so fierce that he would just dominate whoever you were. It didn't matter who you were. Your best defenders, you put whatever you wanted on him, double team him, he would probably score more. Like it just pissed him off. And it was like, what the? So I think that swagger is something that the Eagles want to incorporate, into their locker room. And, it's something that we hold on to. And, in 2017, I think one of the most underlying things for us was adding someone like Brian Dawkins. And, he had a small role, but the guy – if you watch his like Hall of Fame stuff and everything, he was allowed, on the field. He was talking to these dudes, where they're feeling down. He was saying, dude, like I wanted to be that guy to just give him that little motivation. You think we didn't win the effing Super Bowl because Brian Dawkins was talking to a third, fourth stringer and telling him, you got this, you doggone got this, because he ain't swearing. But he's still pissing you don't even know why you're pissing. You just feel it because this dude will run right through. You know it. Oh my God, we're blessed to see him. But I loved it. And now there's no such thing as another Brian Dawkins. So I'm not saying, but where we lack a position where it was huge for us last year was wide receiver. So adding someone like Jason Avant, I think is going to be one of those sleeper moves where it's going to be so great for these receivers. A guy that you remember that catch against the Buccaneers, and there's a million catches you could say, oh, you remember, like the guy was phenomenal. So we talked about you can't teach speed. You can't teach what these kids have. So bring in a guy that teaches them what they don't have. And that's something we talked about. What's the route running going to look like? That's cute. That's wonderful. Nelson Aguilar was fast. I don't care. Shelton Gibson was fast. That doesn't mean jack shit. So it is what it is. And Don. How wild would that have been? Iverson and T-Mac. Or Iverson and Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk was my dude. I
love Dirk. I love Dirk.
Get this, bro. My long hair right here, the reason that it's coming back, because I used to have long hair too, like just a few months ago. But I, as a teenager, started growing my hair. I was like, it's kind of cool. And one day I pick up a Slam magazine, and I was I was super into basketball at this point, and I just happened to pick it up, and it's this Dirk Nowitzki guy on the cover. And I read his story about how he's coming from Germany, but he's a shooter, a 7-foot guy. And I'm like, I can't wait to see this guy. Right. I get 2K1 on Dreamcast. This dude is atrocious in the game. I'm like, who is this weird haircut dude? Well, I finally see him on the court. Oh, my God, dude. And obviously we saw his career heartbroken when he lost to the Heat in the finals. And then he got his redemption just like the Eagles would. They got the team that took him out, and that was awesome to see him beat LeBron, Bosh, and Wade. Like, oh, my God. So, we were blessed. But I hear what you're saying, how, you were a little younger. But, dude, that's where I was when it was like Jordan. I remember it very well. But, that was my kid years. But, I mean, as a teen, oh, my God, dude, I was lucky. But I'm intrigued to see the playoffs this year. It's been great. The bubble, I'm glad they're staying safe. It's given us entertainment. You and I were talking in the video, like Damian Lillard, how we both have loved him for a while. And it's nice to see him, getting this credit. But like you said, an ever-changing league. And even that guy knows, like, he's shooting from half court now. Like they're not even allowed to get tough with him because he's just like, nah. And it's like, wow. Like, and that's, if you got to change with it, just like we have to be a passing team, whether or not dude, anytime you watch my videos, every game, I get so pissed off every game, so it's run the ball because I want to run the ball because that's how you set up better passing for the game.
Yep.
You want to do your RPO, you want to do your play action, establish the run. And I don't know why that seems to still – sometimes I get flashbacks of Andy Reid. And I love Big Red, but my God, do I remember my childhood. My dad and I remember buying him the bad call brick. It's like this little squishy thing. I think he used that like one time before he finally just went back to smashing shit because run the ball. And we talked about that. Like, what the hell were they doing when it came down to having Jordan Howard and Miles? And now Jordan Howard's gone. And so, Monday is exciting. And I can't wait for next week's show to actually. And guys, we know it's vanilla and we know it's training camp and it's nothing. We know, but it's better than literally nothing. So hopefully we get a better feel because at least we see maybe who we have running with the ones and twos. And also don't take anything like that because sometimes you just have to see what they do with the ones first. And then the next day you let someone else run with the ones. So we're going to see. Obviously, we think it's Miles and Boston is 1 and 2. But Clement, I think it's one of those things where we know in our minds that he should be on the fringe. But the Eagles coaching staff loves him. And to sign him for such a cheap contract, and if he's healthy, why not? And they said he's been working his ass off, dude. So if he's healthy, I'd love that, man. He provides you that Swiss Army knife that only plays a little bit here. He can help you on special teams. So why not, man? And then the 4th spot. We love this because we think we should have that power back because we had 2 of them when we won a Super Bowl. So intrigued to see how Holyfield dukes it out. Yeah, that's funny. Holyfield dukes it out with Michael Warren, and Michael Warren's a guy that I think a lot of people, we talk about this. They, just the numbers don't mean anything, but yet those are the same people that only look at the numbers or the stats or something like this guy sucks. And it's like, well, look, if you would look at this kid's stats, you'd be actually pretty impressed because I know he went to Cincinnati. It's nothing big, but, we have a couple players that went to Cincinnati guys that are pretty damn good. And Jason Kelce and Travis. I'm just saying. So, look, if you look at hold on. Anyway, sorry. So Michael Warren, literally, I think if you look at what he did, he not only ran the ball hard, he was a bowling ball. He actually caught the ball in the backfield. Imagine what a back like that does. You know what a back like that does in this offense. So I'm not saying that's who he's going to be, guys. I'm just saying we would love to mold him so that Carson Wentz doesn't do the sneaks every damn short yardage play. So the guy got it done in the red zone, ran the ball. I think the thing you and I had talked about multiple times, though, is we want to see how they do in pass protection. How are you going to do protecting your quarterback? And we get it, guys. Miles is going to take the bulk, but there's going to be times he's going to be spelled. This is how the NFL works. And, he's still young. So, we got banged up last year where, these kids come in the NFL and you got to realize they're changing from, depending on how good their team is. They're playing 12, 13, 14 games. Now it's 16. Sure, you got the buy and all, but it's a different world, guys. And you're not getting your stops every time first down with the clock. It's different. I think it's different. But Don says here, throwing another back. Oh, first off, he says about the Pistons. That's exactly when Jake was talking about. That's exactly where I think everyone's head goes when you talk about the toughness. You think about the battles with the Bulls and anyone they wanted to battle with when Rodman was originally there, and Bill Laimbeer and just Isaiah Thomas. Dude, those guys were damn good. Joe Dumars. So yeah, man, we remember, and it's different. Defense doesn't much win championships. I mean, it can, but it's a shooting league. Then Don says here, this is a good question. This gets asked a lot to fans. Would you listen to trade offers for Ben Simmons? I mean, why don't you go ahead and answer that first?
Me, Ralph, Frank, and Brian, we've been talking about it actually recently the past couple of days. If what offers we would entertain. Obviously, there's rumors about the Cavs talking about getting a package together for Ben Simmons. I mean, at this point, obviously, I know everyone's going to say he's young. People might crucify me for it. But at this point, I think Ben being who he is, I think he did. With me personally, I really like we all know his ability. If he starts shooting this, that, and the third, he can be a top 5 player, this, that, and the third. But I just don't think, Jimmy, really, I think he's just content with being an all-star. I really think he's content with being an all-star and not a star, if that makes sense. I think he's content. I think he's just content being who he is, being the player that he is. Everyone knows He can turn it up another level when he wants to. It seems he just takes games off, and he's like, when he's physical, he can. And that's the thing too, Jimmy. He doesn't need to even really shoot. Is if he can be more physical in the paint and stuff like that. And there's so many what ifs with Ben Simmons that we thought in the bubble. We got fooled again with him taking shots at practice. Brett's like, he's going to shoot more and whatever. At this point, unless he just does it for
made one.
Yeah, he made one. At this point, I really don't see him improving. Obviously, if you move on from him, you're going to lose a big part on the defense. But at the same time, I'm so over this whole Brett Brown process period. It's just one of those things with me. It's so overblown with me at this point. I would just start from scratch. That's just my opinion. That's just me. I'm so over the whole process and stuff like that. So I'm ready to start fresh. That's just my opinion. I'm so done with the Sixers at this point.
I can't blame you, man. And that's the thing, it's like this has been a struggle. This isn't just this year. It's been, oh my God, we want to draft 3 effing centers, and we want to just the ridiculous stuff that we've been doing. And, it's like it's tough to go through it. And, when it comes to the team, it's like they let guys like Jimmy Butler walk after you trade for him, and you have Tobias. I thought it would have been a perfect core. They had that bounce exit to Kawhi Leonard. I thought, you build on that. JJ Redick was a great shooter. You lose him. Now you add Josh Richardson. You have, decent shooters on the team. But what do you really expect? If you're a defensive team, you need 3-point shooters too. And you don't even have that, like Furkan. And come on, dude. And honestly, you didn't build right around him. Al Horford, sure, I was actually intrigued by the pick. I thought it, would work a lot better than it was. I think it's looking okay now, and it needs to if we have any kind of chance to win a game. But it's when it comes to Ben Simmons, we don't have him, and that's a huge blow. So that goes to show you, how people feel. When you lose him, it's over for us. And I love Embiid, we all do, but we don't feel he can get it done himself because he kind of does the same thing Ben Simmons does. You had mentioned a lot of what ifs, and I'm kind of getting sick of it myself when it comes down to if he starts shooting, and there's some days where I'm like, oh yeah, like you watch this highlight reel, he's slamming the dunk, he's going strong. You think, okay, this is the Ben Simmons we're talking about. And the next day, he's 6 points, and he can't attack the basket. It's like, what the not dunking it, easy dunks, and trying the cute little. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Open shots, like, dude, you're never gonna learn to shoot unless you take those shots. So I'm with you. And now the question was, would I listen? Of course I'm gonna listen, baby. Anything. I'm a Howie Roseman kind of guy. My door is always open. I'm always listening. So if you're telling me the Trailblazers feel after this year when they finally lose again that they're like, you know what? It's just not going to work. We love you, dude, but there is a guy that's out there who's also a game changer, maybe fits our style, we could build around. You tell me that we could figure a way to get Damian Lillard.
Oh, my God.
I'm in. If you tell me that Devin Booker is a possibility, maybe I'd ponder getting Dario and Booker back and figure out something like that. Because we need shooters. We're not going to, Don said it. Defense really ain't winning championships much anymore, guys. And that's cute that Brett Brown is analytics and hey, man, that's cute, but we're all still waiting for it to turn into something. So, dude, you say people want to crucify you. I don't blame you. I right now in my mind, it's like I don't want to trade Simmons. I don't want to trade Embiid, but it's like if I trade one of them, it would probably be Simmons if you made me pick. I love Embiid. I really feel like he just needs to grow up. Honestly, I just think it's like a mental thing for him. Simmons, I think he has this arrogance about him where I loved what you said. He's content being an all-star rather than being a superstar. And that's a big difference. And that's what separates the great ones, dude. Yeah. And if you are telling me that you're a guy that's been compared to, being the next LeBron, when he was coming out, it's like, and you can't even shoot. You don't even have the balls to shoot. Like, dude, that means you're scared. So you're not even a clutch guy at the end of the game we can rely on. Like, you're always great at defense. Like, and I think it's just, we love our players so much. and we want to believe, okay, like this is gonna work, but it's like this isn't working. And maybe it's Brett Brown. Maybe maybe a coaching change, and then adding a shooter with Simmons and Embiid is the answer. Maybe that's the answer, but I don't think I would trade him right now. I'd give it one more year with a new head coach. I think if we fail horribly, which we have been, and it's always, even if it's, I don't care if it's games that don't matter, man. It seems like I have to say it all the time. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, we're always letting go of games, always letting teams back in. You know, we're beating teams like the Lakers when LeBron James, you know, passes like oh my God, and this is greatness. This is the team. And then it's not great. And, you know, so I don't blame you at all, Jake, at all, because I hear you. I'm impatient as hell, and I'm trying to be patient with this team. But I think first I want to get rid of Brett Brown before I break this team up, because I do like Ben Simmons when he plays hard. If someone could just punch him in the face and be like, look, bro, you're playing in Philly. Like, this whole Kardashian crap, it's got to go, man. It's got to go. Like, you and Embiid need to stop like acting like Cowboys players. Like, you need to like be a team and actually, like, I don't know, man. It's just rubbing me the wrong way. And I'm not here to try to counsel these guys and tell them how to live. I just feel that it pisses you off, right? When you see guys that you feel, like you said, you could be a superstar. It's just an if you're going to shoot, and it's a choice. You got the damn talent. One of you is being compared to one of the best centers of all time in Hakeem Olajuwon. The other one could be the next to LeBron. And you guys don't want to shoot. You want to, and Embiid, quite the opposite. He wants to shoot, which we get it, dude. We get that you could shoot. But when you have a chance to dominate people, dude, and right now when we need you to dominate people, bro, like, this is going to be huge. Now, I know there's a game on right now, wearing my in spirit here, but it's a pointless game. We all know that. Yeah. Big stuff comes on Monday, 6:30. We were playing the Celtics without Ben Simmons. And we all know, honestly, I was a little happy. I think I'm a little more positive than most when it comes to people. I understand we probably don't have much of a chance here, but I really liked what I saw last couple of days, and I can't wait to see the highlights of this game, because honestly, it's kind of a blessing that these guys have been getting thrown into the fire here. We get to see what these role players did and I like what I saw from Mike Scott, you know, Alec Burks, guys like that. So I'm excited. What do you think about the Sixers? They have a chance against the Celtics?
Me personally, at this point, I'm so done with Brett Brown, Jimmy.
Maybe one win. One?
Maybe.
I'm giving him one.
I'm giving him a first round exit. If anything, it's going to be what I wanted, Jimmy, more than anything. And this is how cynical I am. I wanted the Sixers to face the Heat and Jimmy Butler just to demolish the Sixers. That's what I wanted to happen more than anything.
Revenge.
That's what I wanted, because and I said it.
Sure, Brett Brown goes down, right? That's what you're thinking.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's just like with me, I'm such a Jimmy Butler guy, and people give Jimmy. I'm such a Jimmy Butler guy, but it's one of those things where Jimmy, like 20, like last year, I don't care what anyone says, that was the year that we could have done it, and you let the heart and soul of your team go. And people can say, "Oh, Joel Embiid is the Sixers." No, listen.
He was Philly through and through.
Yeah, listen. Jimmy Butler is the guy that put a thorn, not a thorn. That's not the proper wording, but just kind of he got on Ben Simmons and he got on Joel Embiid, and these young guys need that from a veteran like Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler doesn't care. That's why I love Jimmy Butler. And Tobias Harris was the wrong guy to re-sign for the amount of money that he got. Absolutely sickening to me. I'll say it till the day I die. It's the biggest mistake that the Sixers have made in a long, long time. And obviously the market's different, and you can tell me all this and that. I don't care. Tobias Harris has been on 6 different teams if you include the Sixers throughout his entire career. And you gave him a max contract and you let Jimmy Butler walk?
Dumb as hell.
Are you kidding?
And they pissed Jimmy off too. Like, you can see whenever you see his interviews, he was like, they disrespected him. They didn't even want to like really offer him anything. And it's like the guy that in his first year, you know, being traded here, you know, they were all just gelling. Like, they first year together. Imagine JJ, and it was the bounce that killed us, sure, but man, we really could have built something special. And you disrespect him and I like Tobias Harris, but no way in hell am I giving him a max cut.
No.
You shit. I understand you had the money, but you first take care of Jimmy, and then if you have money left over, then you worry about Tobias Harris.
Then we're having a conversation. That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yep. I'm with you, dude. Like, I was pissed beyond, like, so it pissed me off. So I honestly, I'm with you. See, now I actually was wishing for the complete opposite. And I said to my girlfriend a couple weeks ago, I better be careful what I wish for. Because I said, now I was explaining the bubble tour, and I was like, I want the Celtics. We've actually beaten them 3 times this year. It's finally, it feels like this is the year where we have their number. I feel like we can beat them. I understand Gordon Hayward's back. They're looking better, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I still feel like we got them. Well, I got what I wished for, but unfortunately, it's like one of those horror movies where, you make a wish, but they give it to you in a real crap way. It's like, I got it, yeah, but now Ben Simmons is gone. So now Raul Neto and Josh Richardson and Alex Burks, I guess, will kind of help at times because we're barren at point guard, but we're going to try to hold it down against Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. I don't see this going very well. We're going to need Joel Embiid to be that Joel Hakeem Elijah one that people say he is. That. Yeah, I did too. I kind of just that. So we need him to be that guy, but also be when Hakeem was powerful down low. He didn't just get pretty. He did it when it was necessary, dude. You got to know when there's a time. Like, oh, hey, I got a wide open dunk. Let me get fancy and do a fadeaway and then miss. Like, dude, there's a guy wide open, but I need to shoot a 3 because I'm the best player on the team. Like, well, when you're the best, sometimes you attract that double team, so then you kick it out to your guy that can shoot 3s and let him shoot the 3, dude. So if these guys play as a team, that Philly attitude, I think they can walk away with a couple games. And I hate the Celtics, so I'd love to say that we could beat them, but not looking too great for us guys. So I wouldn't be surprised by a first-round exit myself. It's very scary. And it sucks. We were all excited to have sports back, and at least we had, and I get it, guys. I've avoided talking about it because I'm still pissed off about it earlier today. But, we had 2 teams for playoffs games, so it was like, all right, we're going to get Friday. I'm going to watch the Flyers and be excited for the show. And then I'm going to watch the Sixers on Monday and be excited next week. Well, it doesn't look like I'm getting my wish. So pissed off about Flyers, pissed off about Sixers. It is what it is. Welcome to being a Philadelphia fan.
Exactly.
We have been up to 2 hours, man. So you have any final thoughts before we head out here, Jake?
Yeah, just touching on the whole contract situation with Zach Ertz, because obviously George Kittle and Travis Kelce got paid. With me, Jimmy, to be honest with you, and you look at and we talked about it even prior to the show that it could be even up to $7 million in salary cap that the Eagles are going to owe next year. So it's going to be real interesting to see how that goes. With me, Jimmy, and Pete Evans, you can check him out on Birds of a Feather on Tuesdays. But it's me and Pete have been saying it for a while too, and I agree with Pete. I think really you have to look at trade offers for Zach Ertz, or at least not even explore it, just at least listen. You have to. And unfortunately, it's one of those things to where after this season, he's going to be the Eagles all-time reception leader, passing Harold Carmichael. But it's one of those things where you have to look at your landscape for the future, because right now I just don't see how in good conscience you give him a long-term deal if it's somewhere in the ballpark of Travis Kelce or George Kittle or any of the top tight ends in the league. And I don't know how you do it in good conscience to where you owe so much on the salary cap, or you're going to be so behind on the salary cap next year to where it makes sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. And again, it's nothing against Zach Ertz or anything like that. He's been a phenomenal player for us since the beginning. But I really think it's time, at least in my opinion, to see what you have in Dallas Goedert this year. Because obviously you're not going to draft him in the second round just in spite of the Cowboys. You saw the kid has potential, and I've been high on him since we drafted him. I really think he could be – I'm going to say Zach Ertz-esque, and I've said it before. I'm on record saying it, that I think he could – potentially be better than Zach Ertz just because he can block and he does so many other things that Zach Ertz can't do. But it's really tough, and you're going to see a big transition after this season, Jimmy, to where the Eagles are going to have to make some unpopular moves or restructure a lot of stuff. And obviously Howie Roseman's a salary cap wizard and stuff like that, but you can't prepare for 70, 80 million over the cap. You can't. You can't, unless you're one of the best math minds of all time. But even then, there's no pretty way of doing this. That's what I'm going to leave it off with. There's no pretty way of fixing the cap with that much money.
This is going to be, one of the topics I definitely want to break down. I wanted to make it an entire show, so it's going to be about the salary cap, because now Spotrac is actually reporting that we are going to be $84 million over the cap next year, with $24 million. If that stays where it is with our cap right now, that'll roll over. We're still looking at $60 million over the cap. Now, that's insane. And Howie's never dealt with more than 30 million over the cap. So we know he's a magic man, and we're having faith in him, but it's going to be an issue. Sure. Now Kelsey, Kittle getting their deals. That's a big one. And that's obviously Ertz is going to want one. I think what it's going to come down to though, is when Goddard needs a contract, because right now I feel we need to actually restructure Ertz and actually give him that long-term deal. Cause that's one of those things that coincides with how we fix that cap next year. Give him a long-term deal where you put all that stuff at the back end, where next year he's only getting hit. Where it's another thing, where the same thing with Carson Wentz, where you can load them on and it given as a roster bonus, and they're only costing us like the veteran minimum against the cap. So these are things we could look into, and I definitely want to make a show, and you and I are going to work on this up until next week. So I definitely, like I said, I want to have you on, and before we actually do a show, and we're going to really get into it, because I love that kind of stuff. I'm big into it, but it's scary as hell, dude. Like you said, it's very concerning, guys. We know it is. And luckily we have a guy that, is very confident in that kind of stuff. But I see what you're saying. You have to. And I just said that right before that, talking about Ben Simmons. I'm a listener. You got to listen to things. And when you have a guy like Goddard, who I also believe could be better, and that's crazy to say because Ertz is the best tight end we've ever had. But I think, the Eagles love that duo so much that they want to run an offense with it. So I think the problem is going to be, is Goddard going to be like, hey, I am pretty effing good, and I think I'm going to go somewhere else. So I think Ertz is the one that might be stays. So I love the fact that we can end the show on an agree to disagree there. So that's awesome. I hear what you're saying, 100%, trust me. But I think that's something that we'll definitely talk about next week. Like, what the hell could we do? Because we've talked about cutting people like Deshaun and Alshon and hoping those guys step in. So, Don, you're the man. So I'm glad, Don's been here every week. I have a show, so I love that. But Jake's going to be here every week. He is now the co-host of On the Road to Victory. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We have appreciated everything, and always have, and there's a plentiful amount of shows you guys should be checking out, from anything from hockey, baseball, basketball. Check out all the shows on A2D. Anything your heart could desire, you're going to find it. Like I said, next week, though, keep your eyes out. The time's going to change a little bit, so Chrome can get his SummerSlam stuff in. Definitely check that out, guys. But we'll be back next week. Looking forward to it. This show was brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal. He is our doc. Make him yours in the Cherry Hill, Princeton, and Burlington locations. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Also, check out our gutter guys at AmbuckServices.com and BUCK Services.com. Check them out. And then Philly Drinkers, of course, for all of our merchandise. Anything from your hats to everything, guys. Check it out. Mask. Make sure you're staying safe out there, guys. So thank you for tuning in Friday night. And get used to the Jake and Jimmy show, guys, because this is On the Road to Victory now. And we're going to bring you that fire every week. And I can't wait because we're putting on Badge Monday. So we're going to have something to bring to you guys. So look forward to it. Jake, it was awesome having the first show with you, man. Just mano a mano. And I look forward to the future, brother. Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. So looking forward to when the season starts and we can actually dive into it a lot more. How about it? All right, guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you guys Friday. And, of course, as always, go Birds!